everybody, my name is Colin339. Welcome back to another video. Today, in this one, is going to be my complete in-depth guide on the new Dracotail archetype that's going to be coming out of Justice Hunters tomorrow. At the time of this video, it comes out tomorrow. So yeah, as you can see, the video is super long. It's about 2 hours long. So if you want to kind of skip ahead to certain portions of the video, there's gonna be timestamps in the link in the description down below. In this video, we talk about the card analysis. This is about just me going over the cards, reading the cards, what they do. This is for people that don't know what the cards do and kind of want to try to understand what the cards do. Then we go over a pure deck list after that, and then a couple combos with the pure deck list. Then we are going to talk about K9 Dracotail after that, using combos with that deck as well. Then we'll also talk about Dragonmaid Dracotail as well. And then we'll end off with branded Dracotail at the end as well. So yeah, one other thing I want to do as well is if you enjoy this type of content on the channel, please consider subscribing. We're very close to getting to 1,000 subscribers. So if you do appreciate the content I put out, please consider subscribing. But yeah, without further ado though, let's get straight into the video, shall we? Alrighty, now on to the card analysis portion of the video here. Now, if you already know what the cards do, again, there's timestamps in the link in the description down below for you to help skip to the points you want to get to. But this is for players who don't know what the cards do and want to try to understand what the cards do. So, they have 9 total main deck cards, 5 of them being monsters, 2 spells, and 2 trapped cards, and then they have 2 fusion monsters as well. Now, this is a pre-support. This is only going to be talking about Justice Hunters. There is new support that is been revealed, but we're not going to be talking about that today. This is just post Justice Hunters. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into the card analysis. So we'll start off with their first one, Dragontail Combo. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly. Probably won't. There's probably going to be a lot of names I'm probably going to mispronounce. I do apologize about that. Well, this is a level 3 Dark Dragon monster with 1100 attack and 1500 defense. And then its effect is, during the main phase, quick effect, you can fusion summon 1 Dragontail fusion monster from the extra deck using monsters from your hand or field. Also, you cannot spell summon from the extra deck for the rest of the turn except for fusion monsters. And if this card is sent to the graveyard as fusion material, you can set 1 Dragontail spell trap from the deck. Then you can negate the effects of 1 face-up monster your opponent controls. You can only use each effect of Dragontail Molar once per turn. So now they're in Dueling Book. They're called Dragontail. They're Dracotail, pretty much the same things. But this one's really good. So basically, this is like the Cartesia of the deck. It's on the field, just a quick effect, confusion summon a Dragontail from the extra deck, which is pretty nice. So it has not only the spells that confusion summon, but you can also have the monsters that fusion summon as well. And all of the monsters have this effect where, if they're set as fusion material, sent to the graveyard as material for a fusion summon, they can set a Dragontail spell trap from the deck. Now, they all have different, like, second effects when a part of that. This one has it where you can also negate 1 face-up monster on the field as well, which is really cool. So not only do you get to set a Dracotail spell trap, you can also just negate a face-up monster your opponent controls as well, which is pretty nice as well. So overall, really, really good card for the deck. Next up here is Dragontail Lucius, which is a Earth level 4 spellcaster with 1800 attack and 700 defense. If this card is normal or special summon, you can add a Dracotail monster from your deck to your hand, except for Dracotail Lucius. Then, if this card is sent to the graveyard as material for a fusion summon, you can set a Dragontail spell trap from your deck to your hand. And you can only use each effect once per turn. So if it's normal, so it's kind of a starter for the deck. If you normal summon, you can just add any of the monsters from your deck to your hand, which is pretty nice. Then, if it's sent to the graveyard as fusion material, like all the Dracotail monsters have this effect, like I just said, you can set a Dracotail spell trap from your deck to your hand. Now, it does not have an additional effect, unlike Molar does, where you can negate a face-up monster. Lucius just sets a spell trap, so it doesn't have any additional effect to it, but still pretty nice just to, not only on normal or special just to add a Dracotail, but also being able to set a Dracotail spell trap when it's used as fusion material is still pretty nice. And the fact that all these will set Dracotails also plays around something like Droll and Lockbird, which is pretty nice as well. Now on to probably the best card in the archetype is Dracotail Combo, which is a level 5 water spellcaster with 1300 attack and 2500 defense. During the main phase, you can quick effect discard this card, fusion summon one dragon or 1 spellcaster fusion from your extra deck using monsters from your hand or field. Really good top effect. And the bottom effect is this card is sent to the graveyard as material for a fusion summon. You can set 1 Dracotail spell trap from your deck as well. You can only use each effect once per turn. So the Femina is the really good one. So Kind of like Molar effect, where you're able to fusion summon. Now, the difference between Molar and Femina is Molar can only fusion summon a Dracotail, and it has to be on the field to activate that effect. While Femina, you can just discard this and special any Dragon or Spellcaster fusion as well. So it's a kind of generic poly, which is pretty nice as well for the archetype. And obviously, when it's sent to the graveyard, they have the rest of the Dracotail stuff, where you can set a Dracotail spell trap from your deck as well. Really, really important card. This is also like something you can do and try to play during your opponent's turn 1, which is pretty nice because it is just a quick effect. So if you draw the right cards, you can just summon out this dude, which we'll talk about in just 1 second, and make it like an interruption piece and get some follow-up on their turn, which is pretty nice as well. So a very important card for the archetype. Next thing up here, we have Dracotail Urgula, which is a level 6 fire dragon with 2400 attack and 1000 defense. And its effect is this card is sent to the graveyard as material for a fusion summon. You can set 1 Dracotail spell trap from your deck. Then you can destroy 1 spell trap on the field. Then the second effect is this card is in your graveyard. You can target a spellcaster Dragontail monster in your graveyard. Place this card on the bottom of the deck. And if you do, add this card to your hand, or add the monster to your hand. So, really solid effect. So, basically, the top effect is kind of like all the other Dracotail's effects. If it's sent to the graveyard as fusion material, you can set a Dracotail spell trap, but it also has the additional interruption, like kind of like Molar does, where you can destroy a spell trap on the field. It's non-targeting, which is really insane as well. So if they want to try to protect that spell trap, they're going to have to probably activate it before this resolves, which is pretty nice. So, really good card. And the bottom effect is also not bad either. We can target a spellcaster Dragontail monster in your graveyard, place this card on the bottom deck, and add that card to your hand. It makes it where you can get a recursion of Femina back from graveyard back to your hand, which is very important. But you can also add back Lucius if you want to, if you like need a normal summon or something like that, to try to keep playing, which is pretty nice as well. So both effects are really good on this card. And the last one here is Dracotail Pan, which is a level 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, level 7 Wind Dragon effect monster with 2700 attack and 1700 defense. If this card is sent to the graveyard as material for a fusion summon, you can set 1 Dracotail spell trap from your deck, then destroy 1 monster on the field. Really insane. So not only can you set a Dracotail spell, but it's also kind of like Urgula and Molar's effect, where you can pop a card as well. So if you can kind of see, the dragons here all have interruption alongside their set of spell traps. They also have interruption. So all the dragons have some sort of interruptions, while the spellcasters just have the sets, and that's it. And then its second effect here: if a face-up fusion monster you control is destroyed by an opponent's card effect while this card is in your graveyard, except during the damage step, you can place this card on the bottom of the deck, and if you do, special summon 1 non-fusion Dragontail monster from your graveyard. You can only use each effect once per turn. So it's kind of the same thing as Urgula, where it has a graveyard effect. Now, this matters that your opponent has to destroy it by card effect, but that's not, the hardest thing to do. That's not like going to be impossible for it to come up. That does come up. So if they destroy a fusion monster, it doesn't even have to be a Dracotail fusion, just any fusion monster, which is pretty nice. You can place this at the bottom and then special a non-fusion Dracotail monster. So any of these guys, you can like summon a Molar and get another fusion summon, which is pretty nice as well. So not bad effect there either. Now on to the spell traps, which are kind of insane, going to be honest with you. Key2 Dragontail, or Dracotail, whatever you want to call it. It's a normal spell card that can add 1 Dracotail monster from your deck to your hand. Then, if your opponent controls a monster, you can fusion summon 1 dragon or spellcaster monster from your extra deck using monsters from your hand or field. And you can only activate one of this card once per turn. Now, very insane. Not only is it a Rhoda, but going second can also fusion summon. So, like, if you're going second, your opponent controls a monster, you can, like, search Pan, immediately fusion summon, and get a couple interruptions off of that, which is pretty nice. So, a pretty good card. Not only is it's the Rhoda, but it's also a fusion summon, which is pretty nice. And it's not only just for a Dracotail monster, it's for any dragon or spellcaster monster, which does matter as well. Very insane card there. And then for Rahu Dragontail, sorry, that's probably how you pronounce that. It's a normal spell card. It's basically Branded Fusion. Fusion summon 1 Dracotail monster, fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters from your hand, deck, and or field. Also, you cannot special summon for the extra deck for the rest of the turn after the card resolves, except for fusion monsters. You can only activate this once per turn. So yeah, this is the branded fusion of the archetype, which is really insane. Now, it's a little bit worse than branded fusion, and we'll talk about why in just 1 second once we get to the fusion monsters. But it is a branded fusion, which is pretty nice. Now, you can only summon out Dracotails, which obviously makes sense. You don't want this to summon out any fusion. That'd be broken as all hell. And it locks you into fusions, which again is perfectly fine. You're fusion summoning all the time in this deck. That doesn't necessarily matter. But overall, insane card. Now on to the trap cards. Dracotail Horn is a normal trap card that can target 1 attack position monster. Target one attack position monster on the field, return it to the hand / extra deck, then place one Dracotail card from your graveyard or banishment on the bottom of the deck, except for this card, then draw one card. You can only activate one of this card per turn. So it's an interruption, so you can target an attack position monster, compulse it to the hand, then place a Dragotail card from your grave or banishment, which matters a lot too, to the bottom and draws a card. Now it's very good because not only does it get the interruption, you also get the draw card, which matters for this deck because you kind of want to keep your hand advantage in this deck. So that is a really good card right there. Very, very insane. Now the one downside is this can be Ash Blossom because the draw effect is a part of the compulse. So just keep that in mind that they can Ash this card. But overall, not a bad card. And then the other card here, Dracotail Flame. You can target one face-up spell card on the field, negate its effects until the end of this turn, then place a Dracotail card from the graveyard or banishment on the bottom of the deck, except this card, then draw one card. Another just very nice interruption piece to negate a spell card on the field, and again, it has the same thing as Dracotail Horn, where you can bottom deck a Dracotail card to the bottom of the deck and then draw a card, which is insane. Again, this matters for hand advantage for this deck because this deck really needs its hand advantage, so this was really important to the deck. So two pretty nice interruptions, especially since they are settable off the Dracotail fusion material effects as well. So that is it for the monsters. Now on to, or the main deck. Now on to the fusion monsters. Dracotail Atheron, which is a level 8 Earth Dragon effect monster, or fusion monster with 3,000 attack and 2,500 effects. It requires one Dracotail monster plus 1+ monsters in your hand as well. If this card is fusion summon, you can target any monsters up to the, target monsters on the field and or graveyards up to the number of monsters used as material from the hand, return them to the hand. And then if you 2 or more monsters are sent to the graveyard at the same time while this card is in your graveyard, except during this damage step, you can special summon this card, but banish it when it leaves the field. Now, both fusions have that bottom effect, where if 2 or more monsters are sent to the graveyard at the same time while they're in the graveyard, they can just re-special themselves to the field, which does matter. So both of these fusions have that effect, but this one is like the interruption dude. So when it's fusion summon, you can target monsters on the field and in any graveyards up to the number of monsters used from the materials from the hand, return them to the hand. Now it's very important that can target any graveyards. That matters for turn 1 plays for Dracotail once we get to the combos for them. So you can target your own graveyard, like return hand traps or return like Femina back to hand, which is pretty nice. So that does come up, but it's also just an interruption piece. It's kind of the opposite of Chimera, where Chimera can destroy cards up to the monsters used on field. Atheron's the opposite, where it can return cards to hand up to the number of cards used from hand, which is very important. But this is the reason why Ruhu Dragontail isn't the greatest like brand of fusion, even though it's still very, very good. Both Dracotail fusion monsters require the same fusion materials, where they need a Dragontail monster plus a card in hand to do so. So this isn't a true brand of fusion because you still have to use a card in hand to summon out the Dracotail monsters, unfortunately. So even though this is still an insane card, it's not the greatest compared to like something like brand of fusion because you still have to use a card in hand. Thanks to the fusion materials of the fusion monsters. So that is something to point out. But now on to the last one here, Dracotail Grammel, which is I think a level 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 water spellcaster with 2,800 attack and 2,300 defense. Its materials is 1 Dragontail monster plus 1 monster in the hand. It's not 1+, it's only just the 1. But when you activate a Dragontail card or effect, you can quick effect target a card your opponent controls, destroy it, which is insane because you can just like do like if you activate the trap or activate Femina to fusion summon during your opponent's turn. If they don't chain to it, you can just chain this card to pop a card, which is insane. But it has the same graveyard effect where if 2 or more monsters are sent to the graveyard at the same time, while this card's in the graveyard, you can just re-special it but banish it when it leaves the field. So yeah, that's it for the card analysis there. So now let's get into our first deck list, shall we? Alrighty, now on to the first deck list I'll be showing off in today's video, and in this one it's going to be pure Dracotail, so kind of just Dracotail plus maybe a couple other ways to fusion summon in the deck. Now I will be showing off different engines in the deck, like splashable engines you can throw in. Now if you want to skip ahead in the video and kind of look at those engines, you can, but this one is just going to be talking about just pure to kind of give you an idea what the Dracotail can do. So as you can see with the deck list here, we're on 3 of basically the good names and then 1 of each bad name. Now, I'm putting him in quotation marks because Pan and Urgula are still really good cards, but the problem with them is you don't want to draw them. These are the cards you don't want to draw, so you want to play three of each of the monsters that you want to draw. So, like, Muller can normal summon, fusion summon. You know, Lucius can normal summon, search for Femina, and then fusion summon. And then Femina by itself, you draw any Dracotail, can still fusion summon as well. But by Urgula and Pan cannot do anything in the hand. These are only cards in the deck to just treat as fusion materials and get it to the graveyard. So these are cards you want to send off of like Rio Dragontail instead. So you don't want to open up these cards. That's why we're playing it at 1 and then 3 of the rest of the names as well. It's not terrible. Again, you have like Rotas in the deck, so this isn't the worst thing in the world. You're always going to get access to these cards just because of how the deck plays, but you don't necessarily want to play more than one of each of these cards because again, they're kind of just bricks in hand. So that's kind of what you're trying to do, is kind of lesser the bricks. And then we're on 3 of each spell card because they're insane. You want to draw these cards. This is a Rhoda, and this is a Brand Fusion. You want to draw these cards. And then I'm playing 1 of each trap card as well. Actually, it should be up here, my bad. 1 of each trap card, because you don't necessarily need to play more of this. Again, if you draw these, they're just going to brick you in hand, and it's worse because they're not monsters in hand, so it bricks you even harder. These are cards you just want to get access through the fusion summons by sending them off the monster fusion summons effect. So you only want to play 1 of each. They're reoccurable because they can both put themselves to the bottom of the deck and draw a card, which is pretty nice as well. So that's kind of the idea with this engine. And then we're playing the Edgem stuff. Now, this has been played in the past in some like branded, like very early branded. Now, obviously, branded doesn't play it now because Branded has all the new support going for it, but this is kind of like the same idea with early Branded. You just want to play this so you have more ways to fusion summon with polymerization and stuff like that as well. So that's the reason why it's in here. You probably should be on 2 poly, not going to lie with you, just because we are like on the max out engine of this stuff, but I'm an idiot, so we're not playing 2 poly, but there's probably should be 2 poly in here. 1 Pot of Prosperity does make sense as well with this, because with the pure deck, at least, you don't really necessarily need this much extra deck. Like, as you can see, we're playing a lot of links, and to be honest with you, the links probably won't come up as much as you think it could. So, Pot of Prosperity is something you can play because you don't really need this much of your extra deck in pure. Now, in other, like, splashable engines in the deck, you probably don't play Pot of Prosperity, but in pure, you probably do play Pot of Prosperity just for more consistency. And then 13 non-engine. This can be any non-engine you want it to be, but I will say to try to keep it more monster heavy, because again, the Dracotail monsters can use hand traps as material as long as they're in the hand. They can use hand traps as material, so that's just an idea to go with, is you don't want to play like that many breakers. You probably want to play more monster heavy just so you can fusion summon and, you know, have monsters in your hand for those fusion summons, right? Another thing is you can play like Droll and Valor. I don't know how correct it is in this next format to do that, but they are spellcasters, which matters for Secretron Dragon or Mysteroon Dragon as well, that they're spellcasters, so that does matter. Same thing with the Bestials, they are dragons as well. Magna makes sense because Magna could search Muller or Pan, or Urgla or Pan, which is pretty nice. So, you know, depending on what your hand is, you can search one of those cards during your opponent's turn and then kind of play from there. So Magna makes sense. Maybe not Druis. Maybe you just use Magna to kind of search. So, but Druis is something. If I'm going to play Magna, I might as well just play Druis Worm as well. But 13 non-engine you can play in the deck as well. For the extra deck, we're on 3 Atheron. I don't know how correct this is. You could probably get away with like 2 and 2. But I am playing 3 Atheron. 3 Atheron's probably the most important card in the... Atheron's probably the most important fusion monster in the extra deck, so you want to kind of max out on these. But again, you could probably get away with 2 and 2. But Dragontail Graham, we're playing at 2 as well. You're kind of just playing... Again, trying to play a little bit of a heavier Dragontail package because these fusions can't be fusion summoned... in any other ways besides using monsters in hand. So you kind of want to like have excess of them just so you have access of them at all times. We're playing Guardian Chimera. If we're playing Poly, might as well play Guardian Chimera because Chimera is just an insane card for this deck, so might as well just play Guardian Chimera. Unfortunately, Femina can't trigger that effect of Chimera because Chimera has to be summoned with a spell card for its effect to trigger, so you can't use it for Femina because Femina can technically summon out, or it can ignore me, it can't summon out Chimera. Chimera's a beast, I just forgot. It looks like a dragon, but it is a beast. But yeah, this is, again, we're playing Polymerization, so you might as well just play Chimera to go with it. Like I said, we are playing the Mysteroon, the Dragon Crown, and Secretron Dragon as well, so these both kind of have the same thing, where they require 1 Spellcaster monster and 1 Dragon monster to go into, which, you know, that's your entire deck, basically. Mysteroon's kind of an interruption, so if your opponent uses If a monster uses its effect to special summon itself or a monster with the same original type, you can target one of those monsters, special summon this monster, or target one of those special summon monsters, banish that monster. Also banish all monsters with the field with the same original type. Sorry, kind of went a little fast there, but what this means is, in like the Yummy matchup, let's say, right? If they summon a Yummy card off the Synchro effect, right? They summon like 2 Yummy cards. You can go Mystery effect, target one of those beasts or one of those Yummy cards they just special summon, banish it, and then banish all beast monsters on the field as well, which is fucking insane. It's kind of a nice little interruption piece you can do against Yummy, but it can also matter for, like, you know, any dragon-based deck as well. Anything that's playing the same attribute. Like, by technicality, you can do this against Malice as well, but the only problem with Malice is you don't really want to banish their monsters because they can just come back as well. But, you know, it's kind of the same idea. They're all the same attributes, so it's like kind of board wipe against a deck that plays all the same attributes. Now, obviously, against, like, Canine, Vanquish Soul, it's not the greatest because they're all different types, so you can't really do that against that deck, but it's still, like, a nice interruption piece as well. And then 2 Secretron Dragon. So, basically, you're using this effect to reborn cards, which is very nice because its bottom effect here is you can target 1 dragon and 1 spellcaster monster in the graveyard, special summon one of them, and then if you do, place the other one on the bottom of the deck. So it reborns and then shuffles back, or puts the other one on the bottom of the deck, which is pretty nice. And it requires a dragon and spellcaster, so it's not hard to make in this deck either. But this is also something for the mirror match, which is going to get really dumb. If yours the mirror match, Secretron Dragon is your best friend, because the top effect is, while you control this fusion summon card, your opponent cannot activate the effects of special summon dragon or spellcaster monsters they control. So basically, it fucks over the mirror match. It's just kind of insane that they have a card that just fucks over the mirror match, which isn't dumb, but it is something to kind of put, because the bottom effect still is insane to, like, reborn a card, but it also matters for the mirror match as well, which is annoying as fuck. Now for the links, the only one that really matter is Spirit and Seals. So basically, you can get to a Seals line because the only thing that locks you is Rio, Dragontail, and Muller's effect. That locks you into fusions, but there are ways to play into ways to make seals before you get locked into the dragon. So the reason why we're on Spirit is to turn Lucius into a dragon to help you make seals. That's the only reason why we're playing Spirit. But seals is just makeable in the deck. Now the rest of the links don't come up that much. Like SP is just generic, but again, you're getting locked into dragons a lot of the time anyways. Azza, Selene, and Access Code Talker is kind of an idea. Like if you're not locked and you're going second, you go like use an Earth, so either Lucius or Atheron, to go into Azza. Azza effect, take, like if you're versing Canine, take Azuna, then use Azza and Azuna, go into Selene. Selene effect, you should have plenty of spell cards in the graveyard to get 3 counters onto the field. Use the effect to special summon a spellcaster from your graveyard, which can just be a Lucius, which is fine. And then use that monster you special summon in Selene into an Access Code line. And then you have 2 different attributes in the graveyard, so Access Code becomes like 2 pops as well, which is nice. So that's like an idea you can think of. In reality, is it going to come up that much? Probably not, but it is something that to think about when you're playing this deck, is that you could play this as well in your extra deck. Now on to like cards you could be playing in the deck. Thrust is one of those obvious ones that come up to mind, like especially going second, being able to search the spell traps like in like fusion summon is insane. So that is something you can do, but again, for my non-engine, I prefer to play more monster heavy just so you can, you know, kind of fusion summon a lot more often, because if you're on a lot more spell traps, there's a lot less likely you're going to be able to fusion summon because you don't have that many monsters in your hand. But that's something you can do with Thrust. You can, instead of playing like the Chimera package, or the Patchwork package, you can play King of the Swamp instead. It's kind of the same idea, but it requires less bricks in your deck, so you can like cut out 6 cards out of your deck and put in 3 King of the Swamp. Kind of does the same thing, gets to Poly, which is just another way to fusion summon. But another thing that matters for the King of the Swamp as well is it can be substituted for any fusion material whose name is mentioned on a fusion monster card, meaning you can just make Dragoon with some like Femina's effect, right? Because if you have King of the Swamp in hand and like a Molar, let's say, you can go Femina effect using Molar and King of the Swamp to go into Dragoon, and then still trigger the Molar effect since it was sent to the graveyard as fusion material. So with King of the Swamp, you can make a Dragoon as well. You can play the Shadal stuff in here as well. That's not something I'm going to be talking about today, but that is something you could be playing with this as well. I've seen a lot of people kind of experiment with the Shadal stuff being in here as well, so that is something you could do in the deck as well, but I'm, again, just not going to show it off in today's video. Magistus is another thing you can do, but the reason why I'm not going to show it off is because we don't have this card in the TCG yet, and this card is very important to the Magistus Dracotail kind of deck, so I'm not going to show it off in today's video, but it is something you can do in the future once this card comes out. And then you can also do like Archmage Dracotail as well if you really want to. Now, I don't think it's necessarily the greatest in the world, but it is an idea you can do in this deck if you really want to play like Archmage. You can throw like Dracotail in there as well. So that is it for the pure deck list. Now let's get into some combos, shall we? Alrighty, now on to the combo portion of the pure deck list here. So I have a couple things to say first off. So the first thing is we're going to show off 3 2-card combos and then 3 5-card sample hands. Now, why am I doing the 3 5-card sample hands? And well, that brings up to another point of this deck is a little bit weird. It's kind of the same idea as like Canine Vanquish Soul when I did that for my complete guide to the canine list, is that this deck is very hand dependent. It really depends on your hand. So I think it's a lot more important to show you the 5-card sample hands with the deck compared to the 2-card combos with this deck. Now, I will still show you the 2-card combos because it is still very important to know, but that is something I think you should kind of consider when going into this deck, that the 5-card sample hands are going to be a lot more important to know because this deck is always just hand dependent. There isn't a true 1-card combo to the deck as well, which is something to point out. There's no 1-card combo to the deck. There's nothing that will do a 1-card combo. You always have to open kind of 2 cards to kind of play with your Dracotail engine, which is unfortunate, but the Dracotail engine does do a lot by itself, so I think it's still worth it at the end of the day. But that is something to kind of tell you that there is not a 1-card combo. There's only a couple 2-card combos, and it's a lot more important to show you off the 5-card sample hands because I think that's more indicative of how the Dracotail plays, because Dracotails kind of need its hand advantage and it's kind of, hand dependent with the deck as well. So yeah, without further ado though, let's get into the combo here. So the first thing is a Dracotail Lucius plus any monster in hand. So it doesn't have to be the Fua. It can be like an Ash Blossom or something like that. You just need another monster in your hand to do this combo. But Dracotail Lucius is all you really need for the Dracotail line. So we'll go into standby main phase here. We'll normal summon Lucius. Lucius effect to go ahead and search for Femina here. And then we'll go Femina effect, discarding itself using Lucius on field and the Fua in hand to go into Atheron. We'll go Atheron effect targeting Femina in our graveyard, since we do use a card in our hand. That's why the Atheron is important, that you can target any cards in the graveyard, so you can target your own graveyard. So this is important to get like follow-up plays to play on your opponent's turn. So we target the Femina in graveyard, then go Lucius Chainlink 2 to go ahead and set Rahu Dracotail from the deck here, and then we'll add back Femina through Atheron's effect. Then we'll activate the Rahu Dracotail using the Femina in hand, and then the Urgula from the deck here to go ahead and special out Grammel here. And then we'll go ahead and do Urgula Chainlink 1 and then Femina Chainlink 2 to set both Flame and Horn, the 2 trap cards for the deck. We'll set both of them. Then use Urgula's effect in graveyard, target the Femina, bottom deck itself to go ahead and add back Femina to your hand here, and we'll pass on that. So it's actually pretty decent. So obviously, Atheron on field doesn't really do anything, but you do have a pop off of Grammel whenever you trigger a Dracotail monster, which is kind of cool. And then you have the both trap cards, so you have a Compulse for an attack position monster, and you have a spell negate as well with Flame, and they both bottom deck to draw a card, which matters because you kind of do need the hand advantage, and you have Femina to play on your opponent's turn to kind of help you fusion summon during your opponent's turn as well. So on your opponent's turn, you can do Flame effect. You can chain the Grammel here to pop a card. It doesn't have to be to this Dracotail name, but always remember you have the Grammel to pop a card. But you have the spell negate, you bottom deck. It doesn't really matter to draw a card. We draw Fua, and then we go Horn effect to target an attack position monster, bounce it back to the hand to go ahead and draw another card. So you have a spell negate, a pop, or a pop off of Grammel, and then a bounce off of Horn right now. So that's already 3 interruptions. Then you have Femina effect here to fusion someone, use the Atheron in field, and then to 2 cards in their hand is fine. We used Fua and Droll, but again, it doesn't really matter as long as you use some monsters in your hand. To go into Atheron, then you go Atheron effect to bounce 2 more cards on their field and or in their graveyards as well. So just off the 2-card combo, you got a spell negate, You got a bounce off the horn, you got a pop off of Grammel, and you had a couple of bounces off of Atheron as well. So you had at least 4 to maybe 5 or 6, depending on how many you use your hand, just off of a 2-card combo, which is kind of insane. Doesn't sound like a lot, but it is a lot because it's going to be a little rough for them to play through this because Atheron could reborn itself as well, and you should have, like, by technicality, 3 more cards in your hand that they have to worry about as well. So that is something I just wanted to show off there. Now let's get into our second 2-card combo. Now for our second 2-card combo here. Now this is kind of the same thing that we kind of just showed off with the last combo, but we're using it with a different name. So Ruhu Dragontail also gets to the same end field as well, and I'll show it why in just 1 second. So we'll go to main phase again. You just need a monster in hand. Doesn't matter. It doesn't need to be Fua. It can be like Ash. It can even be like a Dracotail name, which would be a little bit better, but any monster in hand does it. So we use the monster in hand and Femina from the deck to go ahead and special out Atheron. We'll go Atheron Chainlink 1, targeting Femina, then Femina Chainlink 2 to go ahead and set Q2 Dragontail. We'll add back Femina off the Atheron effect, then go Q2 Dragontail to go ahead and search. We'll search for Lucius here, and then normal summon Lucius to go ahead and search for just another name. We'll search for Urgula here, and then go Femina effect, discarding itself to fusion summon. We use Lucius and Urgula to go into the Grammel here, and then we'll go Lucius Chainlink 1, Urgula Chainlink 2 to go ahead and set both the trap cards from our deck, and then we'll go Urgula effect, bottom decking itself to add back the Femina from hand as well. So pretty much the same end field as we did with the last one, just a different way you could have got to it because we used Rahu Dragontail to get to it instead. So again, same interruption, you go Flame effect and negate a spell card, bottom deck, and then draw a card as well. We drew Chain, which is pretty nice. And then you can go Horn effect as well, bottom decking Flame, and then draw another card, which is Ash Blossom in this case. It doesn't really matter. Then you can go, Grammel effect if you want to on any of the trap cards. But you can also do Femina effect Chainlink 1, and then go Grammel's effect Chainlink 2 to pop a card, and then using Grammel, Chain, and Ash to go ahead and make a second Atheron effect. We use 2 cards in hand to pop 2 cards, or to bounce 2 cards on the field. So with this one, it's same interruptions. You got a Spell Negate, a Pop off of Grammel, a Compulse off of the Horn, and then, depending on how many cards you used in your hand, you have the Atheron to bounce up, 4 to 5 interruptions, kind of like the last combo as well. So that's another way you can get to this combo. You're just using a different card as your starter. We're using Ruhu instead of Lucius. I think we shuffle back Ruhu. That's fine, but this is just another way you can get to this with another 2-card combo. So now let's get into our last 2-card combo. Alrighty, now for our last 2-card combo here. Now, this is going to show off the Molar as your starter instead. But now, the thing I want to point out is with Molar, you want to use another Dracotail name, unfortunately. There are, you can use another monster in your hand with Molar. It just gets to a worser end field, but it still gets you there by technicality. But, the 2-card combos we just showed off with Lucius and Ruhu, Molar with any other monster would be worse than those two. And those two weren't, they were decent, but, still not the greatest in the world. So I didn't want to show off Molar plus another card. So we're going to use Molar and another Dracotail name instead. So we'll go standby main phase here. We'll normal summon Molar. Go ahead and fusion summon. Again, it could be Lucius. It could be any of the names. It's just fine. I just use Lucius in this scenario. Go ahead and fusion to Grammel. Then go Chainlink 1 Molar, Chainlink 2 Lucius to go ahead, set both of our Dracotail spell cards here, and we'll activate Tail to search for Femina, and then go Rahu Dragontail to go ahead and brand diffusion. We use Rahu and Urgula to go into ourselves a Atheron. Now, Atheron effect and trigger will just target the Molar that we used to go ahead and add itself back to hand, then a Femina 2, Urgula 3 to go ahead and set both of our trap cards from deck here. And then go ahead and add back the Molar off of Atheron's effect here. Then we can go Urgula effect to go ahead and bottom deck itself to add back the Femina from graveyard as well, and then we'll just pass on that. Again, this could be any Dracotail monster. We just started with Lucius. Any Dracotail monster gets you there because we're just leaving it in graveyard anyways. So this is your end field. We have the same end field as the other 2-card combos. We had Grammel, Atheron, they're both trap cards, plus Femina, but with this one we also got to keep another monster as well in Molar, and this is nice because Molar has a graveyard interruption as well. When it sets a Dracotail, you can also negate a face-up monster your opponent controls, which is pretty nice as well. So, again, same interruptions here. You have the Spell Negate off of Flame here, which you can chain the Grammel to pop a card as well. You bottom deck, draw a card, draw into a second Molar. Then we got a Horn effect here to compulse a card. We can bottom deck the Flame to draw another card as well. And then we can go Femina effect to fusion summon off the the Atheron we have on field, Molar and Molar, which is pretty nice. So make Atheron a Compulse 2 as well. And then we can go Molar effect to not only set yourself some follow-up play, but to also negate a face-up monster on the field as well. So with this combo, we still got to the same pop off a Grammel, a spell negate, and a Compulse off the Horn, plus, 2 pops off of Atheron. Then we have the Molar as well that negated another card on the field, or monster on the field, right? It's any monster. Yeah, face-up monster on the field. So 6 technical interruptions off of this 2-card combo here. And we had like the Veiler in hand still, so that's by technicality another interruption if you want to. And we also got the follow-up as well. So yeah, that's the last 2-card combo I'm going to show off today, now, or for at least the pure deck list. Now let's get into our 5-card sample hands, shall we? Alrighty, now for the 5-card sample hands. Again, I'm going to do 3 of them for you in this pure deck list combo. But again, it's important to show you off because I think the 5-card sample hands are a lot more important because the deck is a lot heavier on the, it's very hand dependent is what I'm trying to say. So it depends on what you draw in your hand to combo off or not to combo off, right? So yeah, I'm going to shuffle the deck a little bit up here before we get to draw the 5. So we'll do a couple shuffles, then draw 5 cards. Lucius, Ash, Veiler, Chain, and Q2 Dragontail. Okay, not a bad hand, not going to lie with you. We can do a lot with this hand, so stand by me. How do I want to play this? This hand is very, very, very good. Boom, 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 boom. We can go... I want to keep the Lucius on field. So we can go... Yeah. Huh. How am I doing this? We can go normal summon Lucius, effect to search. Go ahead and search for... I think the correct thing is always to search for Femina, just so you have it in hand. Now we can go Dragontail, Q2 Dragontail to go ahead and just search another dude. I guess Urgula is fine enough. Yeah, we'll just search for Urgula is fine. Then we can go from... Oh, we can search for Pan, actually. I'm actually going to... Oh, yeah, I'm going to search for Pan. No. I'm not going to search for Urgula. I'm going to search for Pan, actually, because we can actually put Pan back in our hand for follow-up play. So we can go Femina effect using this, discarding itself using Pan and Edge of Chain to go into ourselves and Atheron. Don't throw that in the graveyard. It specials itself to the field. Then we can go Atheron, Chainlink 1. We use 2 cards in hand, so I guess we can target both Pan and Femina. Chainlink 2 Chain, Chainlink 3 Pan. So Pan will go ahead and set ourselves a Rahu, sorry. I keep mispronouncing it. Chain will go ahead and search for Patchwork here. Get the Patchwork. And then we'll bounce back our Femina and our Pan back to our hand, which is pretty nice. Now we can go into a Seals place because we can link off the Lucius because we're not locked into Spirit. And then link Spirit and Atheron to go into Seals, which is pretty nice because the Seals can get into the Molar since it is a dragon. Now we can still play. We can go Patchwork effect to add Chain and Poly to hand, which is pretty nice for us. That's good. Now we can do a lot. There's a lot of things we can do here. We already used the Femina effect here. We can just go Ruhu using Femina and Urgula to go into ourselves the Grammel effect. And then we can go Urgula 1, Femina 2, because we haven't triggered their fusion summon effects yet. So we set both the trap cards here, which is pretty good. If we can set the other one, that would be pretty nice. Set these 2, and then go... Oh, we can even like bring back the Atheron, because there were 2 graveyards sent at the same time, so we can bring back Atheron if we really want to. I don't think it's worth it, though. So we set the traps, and then we can go Urgula effect, bottom decking itself, and adding back Femina from the hand, or from the graveyard as well. So that's... Can we do anything with Poly here? Can we make this? We could. Like using this and Pan to go into this. I don't think it's really worth it, to be honest with you. I think we'll just pass on this, to be honest with you. We'll probably we can set Poly if we want to set like a bluff if we really want to. But we pass on this. This is a lot of interruptions just off of that combo because we have Ash and Veiler, which is just hand traps, right? So that's like 2 interruptions by itself there, right? So we can go like Seals effect attributed itself to bounce a card, then go Seals effect to special. We can special out Molar, which is pretty nice because it is just a dragon. Then go effect to fuse. We can use itself and Pan. And we can even use Chain if we want to as well because we kept the Chain off of that to go ahead and summon Atheron if it summons Atheron, can it stop lagging, please? Why is it lagging right now? There he goes. We can go Atheron. We use 2 cards in hand, so we can go bounce 2 cards. We can go Molar Chainlink 2, which sets and then negates a card. Pan Effect Chainlink 3, which sets and then pops a monster. And then Chainlink 4, which is insane. So we search for Patchwork. Oh, we don't send it to Graveyard. We add Patchwork. Then we go set off of Pan. So we set a just follow up here, which is Q2, and then pop a monster. Molar will set the other one, Ruhu, and then negate a monster on field. And then we got 2 compulses off the Atheron as well. Then we still have a spell negate, which you can chain Grammel to pop a card as well. We can just shuffle back, probably Pan. We probably put Pan back onto the bottom of the deck, and we draw a card. That's insane when you draw. That's fucking insane. Then we have Horn Effect and Compulse, put back Flame probably, and then draw another card, which is another Veiler, which is fucking insane, right? We can still do Femina Effect, which is insane, right? So we can go Femina Effect using both Atheron and Grammel to go into, depending on the matchup, you can go Secretron if it's like a Dragon or Spellcaster deck. Just go into Secretron and just like, fuck you, you're not playing. Or you can do Mr. Rune, which is also pretty nice as well. Then trigger this Atheron that was in Graveyard to special itself back to the field. Then you can go, if they summon something with the same type, you still have an interruption off of that. You still have Veiler, you still have Droll, you still have another Veiler, you still have Ash, and you have Patchwork. If we were playing a second poly, you would have the Patchwork for next turn, which is pretty nice. Then we have follow-up in both Rahu and Q2 set on field, which is pretty insane. If they ever use, like, Link into a monster, you can just special this guy back from the graveyard as well. That was kind of an insane hand. I'm glad we kind of showed off that 5-card sample hand. But now let's get into another 5-card sample hand, shall we? Alrighty, now for our second 5-card sample hand here. So I'm going to give it a couple little shuffles here. Now, the first one we showed off was kind of insane. We got to the Seals play, which was very insane that this deck can do. Very insane end field that we ended up there. So we'll draw 5 cards now. 2, 3, 4, 5. A little bit worse, sir, but I think it works. Yeah, it works. We can just use the Droll in hand and still play. Like, this isn't terrible, right? Yeah, you can just use Rahu effect using Droll, and I guess Femina is fine, I guess. It doesn't necessarily, yeah, we can just use Femina to go ahead and special out Atheron. Go Atheron effect Chainlink 1, probably just target the Femina. Then Chainlink 2, Femina to set a card. Now, we already have everything, so we can just reset this spell trap here. Just the Flame here, and then add back Femina. We already have Tail, so we can just activate Tail. Go ahead and get... we have a normal... We're locked, though. We are locked into Fusion, so we can't make a Seals play, unfortunately, which is very unfortunate. So we just normal summon Lucius effect to go ahead and search for Urgula. So this is kind of the same 2-card combo I showed off earlier. So this, go into Femina effect using this and this to go ahead and special out Grammel. And then go Chain 1, Chain 2... to set cards. We already have Horn in hand, which is very unfortunate, so we just have to set this and this, which is unfortunate, but it is something we could do. Actually, we could have... yeah, it's still worth doing this, I think. Set those 2, and then go Urgula effect, bottom deck itself, add this to hand, which is pretty nice. And then I think we can actually just poly these guys off... I don't want to poly the Grammel, though. That's a little rough, but I don't think it's worth. I don't think it's the worst thing in the world. We can just poly these 2 off the field to go ahead and make, depending on the matchup, you can just make Secreton, which is pretty good. It's not like terrible, right? And you get to reborn a dude. Ooh, it's not terrible. It's not the worst thing, but Mr. Rune is a little bit more for every matchup. So I'm gonna summon Mr. Rune instead. Which is fine. We use the Dragon as a spellcaster, so that's fine. I think we just do that. We set 1. Wow, we don't have any hand advantage, though. That's like the problem with this, because we didn't draw that many monsters. We drew a lot of spell cards. I think we just do this and pass. Draw standby main. If they ever summon something with the same type, you can just do this effect, which is pretty nice as well. Just to banish a card. If they summon from like a Link monster or Synchro or anything like that, you can just do this effect to reborn itself. You can actually trigger both, actually, to reborn both of these. Then go Dragontail Horn to like Actually, you don't do horn. You do flame to bottom or to negate a card. Probably just bottom deck one of the spell cards, not to the top, not to the top. We bottom deck it. Bottom deck and then draw a card. There wasn't a monster. That's very unfortunate. I wish that was a monster. Then we can do horn effect. We can chain this to pop a card. Bottom deck flame. We just need this to be a monster. That's all we need it to be. Okay, it's Magna. Wow, that was actually kind of insane. We can go Femina effect using Atheron and Magna to go into just another Atheron, which can just bounce another card. So a little bit unfortunate there. We didn't draw that many monsters, so we couldn't really, like, we still got to, like, plays, right? But, like, the fact that we didn't draw that many monsters kind of really screwed us over there. We need to kind of draw monsters off the trap cards. We still technically have the follow-up play with, like, Rahu and Kutu. And we had the Mystery on field, which is pretty nice, but, like, still something to think about, right? We didn't draw that many monsters, so we had to play a little bit weird, but that's still something to think about. So that's it for that 5-card sample hand. Now let's get into the last one, shall we? Alrighty, now on to our last 5-card sample hand I'm going to be showing off today for at least the pure deck list. So we'll give it a couple little shuffles again before we draw our 5-card hand here. And now we will draw 5. 4, 5. Ooh, it works. We hard drew Poly once again, which is annoying as fuck. I mean, it works for this hand, I guess, but fuck. Oh, man, I wish we didn't draw the Poly, but it still works. We can go Standby Main. Yeah, it still works. We can just, like, we can do a lot of plays if we want to. We can go Poly using Chain and Pan to go ahead and summon out. Yeah, Atheron's probably fine. Summon out Atheron. Go Atheron Chainlink 1, Chainlink 2, Chainlink 3 is probably fine. We search Patchwork, which doesn't do anything because we're not playing a second Poly. So we, very important to probably play a second Poly in this list, but I just wanted to keep it an even 40. So that's the reason why I didn't do that. We just search or set a Rahu, which is fine. And then go, yeah, and then we bounce back Pan. Sorry, that's what I'm forgetting as well. So we bounce back Pan, normal summon Lucius effect to go ahead and search for, Femina. And then this is still, we're not locked, so we can still just make this into a spirit and then make these into seals, which is very nice as well. Then we can go, yeah, we can do this using this and Urgula, wherever Urgula is at. There he is. Go ahead and summon out Grammel, and then go chain 1, chain 2. It's annoying that we drew Flame, but we haven't used Q2, so we can just use it to search. This and Horn. Set both of these, and then go Urgula effect, bottom deck itself, add itself to hand here, and then go Q2 to go ahead and search. We can actually just research for Urgula if we really want to, because I don't think Molar's negate doesn't necessarily matter that much. So I think Urgula matters more. I guess if we reverse the mirror and if they've summoned Secreton, but Pan can out the Secreton. Because Secreton is only on field effects, right? If I'm not mistaken. We'll just search for Urgula. I think Urgula is actually not bad there, right? Because, let me just read Secreton. Monsters they control. So yeah, it's technically an out in the mirror match anyways for Pan. In this case, we'll just set this. So it's kind of the same thing as our first 5-card sample hand. So we have the seals, we have the Grammel, plus like ways to fusion summon, which is pretty nice. So draw a Standby Main. We can go seals effect to bounce a card, and then effect to special summon a dragon, which can summon Molar. Then Molar effect. Oh, I guess it's actually correct to go Urgula, because seals can get to Molar, and Molar is going to get that face-up negation anyway. So, right, so we can use this, this, and Pan, which is all insane to me. That's very insane to summon out Atheron here. Go Atheron, which is a compulse of a 2. Go Pan, which is a set and a pop a monster. Urgula, which is a set and pop a spell trap, and then Molar Chainlink 3 to set, and then, we should probably do this correctly. We should go Molar 1, Urgula 2, Pan 3, just so we get these to resolve, and then Molar, like, it doesn't get to set the card, but the Molar is the least interesting part of that, so, because we're out of zones, which is why it matters, right? So, I guess we don't set Patchwork then, because we need the zones, unfortunately, so this, and then just, it doesn't really matter to this, I guess. If we used the traps earlier, we could have set other stuff if we were, like the trap we reshuffled back. But now we can, it's compulsed to pop a monster, pop a spell trap, and negate the face-up monster. We still have this to bottom deck Pan and then draw a card. And we can chain Grammel to that to pop another card as well. We have Horn to bottom deck Flame and then draw a card as well. And it's a compulsive attack position monster, which is pretty nice as well. We still have Femina effect diffusion. We can use this and this to go ahead and summon out. Again, doesn't really matter. Depending on the matchup, if you're in the mirrored match, Secretron is just the best way, but Mr. Rune is just for any generic matchup. And then we still have the Veiler that we drew as well, which is insane. This also pops a card. If they ever special things from the extra deck, we can special these guys back from the graveyard, which is pretty nice as well. Kind of an insane combo there, not going to lie with you. Like, that was very, very, very good. So yeah, that is it for the 5-card sample hands. Now let's get into our next deck list, shall we? Alrighty, now to our next deck list. This is going to be the first kind of splashable thing you can do with the Dracotail stuff is by playing Dracotail Canine. This is probably going to be a little bit more popular in this format because not only is the Dracotail stuff kind of cool as hell, but the Canine stuff is really cool. It's actually one of the better engines in the next format that's going to be coming up once Justice Hunter comes out. But this is a deck you'll probably be seeing play together. It's both Canine and Dracotail. So the idea is Canine just kind of needs a level 5 to play, right? So that makes it where Femina is already an important card for Dracotail, but it makes it where if you draw Femina plus any of, like, let's say Jokel, for example, you can kind of just play off with the Canine cards, which is very, very insane. Now, this is, again, one of those decks where you kind of need to go off the 5-card sample hands compared to, like, just 1 or 2 card combos, because this, especially with the Canine stuff, it's very hand dependent. Again, you can try to just kind of treat this as like, if you're going off 2-card combos, right? Let's say you have Lucius plus any Canine card. You kind of just have to go Dracotail, and the Canine stuff can't really do anything. You just use the Canine monsters as just monsters you can use as fusion material, which is nice. And then the Canine stuff is kind of the same idea. If you don't draw enough Dracotail stuff, you can just use Canine plus like Femina as just a 5 to kind of help you go into Canine combo if you want to as well. But the idea is with a 5-card hand, if you draw the correct 5-card hands, you kind of let you play with both combos, which is very insane. If you can get to both combos with this deck, it's a very impossible end field to kind of break through, which is kind of insane as well. Another idea with the deck as well is it kind of helps you play during your opponent's turn as well, because, Azuna is already a good way to play during your opponent's turn with the Canine stuff, but Femina is also one of those cards that if you draw like a Dracotail plus any name, you can just play during your opponent's turn with Femina effect as well. So that's another idea with the deck, is that this also helps play during your opponent's turn, which is very nice as well. So the deck list itself, again, it's kind of the same thing with the Dracotail with Pier, where you can play 3 of the good names and then 1 of the bad names, the ones you don't want to draw in your hand. Then max out on all the spell traps and then 1 of each trap card, just because it is accessible through all the Dracotail stuff. For the Canine stuff, you're on 3 Azuna, because this is the one that lets you play during your opponent's turn. 3 Jokel, because Jokel is kind of just a good starter if you draw any other level 5 with it. It makes it where you can just kind of play, which is kind of insane. 1 Lantern, you don't want to necessarily play 3 of this, because this only can reborn from the graveyard. So you kind of just want to play 1 of this, which is perfectly fine. 1 Lupus. This is just the brick with Azuna by technicality, but it helps play during turn 0 as well. 1 Case of the Canine, and just like as a Rhoda, that's searchable through Lantern. And then 1 Canine X-Force, just a quick play that you can get off of like either Ripper or Lantern as well. And then I'm on 13 non-engine. This is a 42 card deck, but again, by technicality, Azuna is a way you can play during your opponent's turn. That's like 16. Same thing with Femina, which can make it 19 if you draw the correct cards as well. Again, this deck list is more like kind of like Canine Vanquish Soul, where if you draw the correct hand, you can kind of play during your opponent's turn, which is very insane. So very solid deck. The extra deck, you're on 3 Atheron. Again, you can kind of get away with 2 and 2 if you really want to, but I'm on 3 and 2. 2 Secretron and 1 Mistrum as well. 2 Secretron, the Reborn could come up by like reborning of Femina, then normal summon like a Jokel is something you could do if you want to as well. I'm playing 2 Ripper, which is important for the Canine portion of the deck. I think 2 is probably correct. 1 Valion, the Super Sky Blaster, and then 1 Canine X Werewolf, which matters for the quick play spell, and then a Zeus as well. So like if you're playing during your opponent's turn, you can like make a Ripper. If they don't out the Ripper, you can like threaten a Zeus when they pass back to you, which is pretty nice as well. And then we're still on the 1 Spirit, 1 Seals as well, because this does come up with the Dracotail stuff as well. So yeah, that is it for that deck list. Didn't really explain that much with it, but again, the idea is you're just trying to play with both combos with like a 5-card sample hand. There really isn't like a 2-card combo that gets to both engines by technicality, so I won't be showing off any 2-card combos. I'll be showing off like 5-card sample hand combos with this deck, so just be prepared for that. But yeah, I think it's still a very solid deck, even though you don't think they would go together. In reality, when you are playing with like 5-card sample hands, they really do go splash well together as well. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into the combo, shall we? Alrighty, now on to the 5-card sample hands. I think I'm going to do 3, maybe 4, just to kind of show you what the deck can do. Again, there's really not a 2-card combo with this deck list that can get to both engines. There are 2-card combos that can do Canine combo, and there's 2-card combos that can do Dracotail combo, but there's not really a 2-card combo that can do both engines together. So that's the reason why I want to show off the 5-card sample hand, because I think it's more important to do that to try to show you that this deck can get to both engines if you draw correctly, right? So I will shuffle a little bit here before drawing our 5-card hand here, and we'll give it one more shuffle, and then we'll draw ourselves the 5-card combo here. Okay, not a bad hand here. How do I want to play this? This is a little bit interesting. If we're going second, this hand would be fucking insane if we were going second. I guess that's another thing to keep out about. This deck going second would be fucking wild, because not only are you playing with the Canine stuff and stuff like that, like the Dragontail spell cards are also just insane going second. Like, if we were going second, this Dragontail would be very, very insane. But going first, though, what am I trying to do here? Normal summoning. I don't want to really normal summon Lucius, which is the unfortunate problem. We can go we have a dragon in our hand. We can do this. So we can go Q2 Dragontail, searching for Femina, wherever Femina is at here. Get Femina. Go ahead and then do Femina effect, discarding itself, fusing off Lucius and Magna, which is a little bit weird, but it is a Dragon and Spellcaster, which is why the non-engine using Dragon and Spellcasters do come up, by the way, is for this reason and this reason alone. Go into Secretron here, then we can go Effect of Lucius here to go ahead and set a card. We'll probably just set Rahu Dragontail here. Then we can go Effect of Secreton, targeting Magna and Femina. We bottom deck the Magna, and then special out Femina, which gets you the 5, right? Let me make sure I'm not misreading that. Target a dragon, target a spellcaster, special 1, and if you do, or put the other on the bottom of the deck, which matters a lot. Now we can just normal summon Azuna, go Azuna effect to dump here. I think we just dump Lucius is probably fine. Just so we can get it in rotation. Yeah, I think that's probably fine. We probably should just do Lucius here. Wherever Lupus is at. Sorry, not Lucius, Lupus. To dump there. Again, they should have like 5 cards, so the normal summon of Azuna is correct here. Now, again, we're not locked. Nothing has locked us yet. I'm just making sure. Yeah, nothing has locked us. We can now overlay the 2 5s, go into a Ripper, and then go Ripper effect. I probably detach Femina here to go ahead and get ourselves a where is it? I know Lantern somewhere in here. Lantern or just Lantern, sorry. Then go Lantern effect, targeting Lupus in graveyard to special itself to the field, and then go Lantern effect to search for a spell trap. I really want to search for the quick play spell, but I think in case of the Canine is probably better, just so we can get some a little bit more follow up. Now we can just overlay these into. I guess we don't have to actually, since we are only playing. Yeah, no, you know what? I will get the quick play spell. Screw it. I will get the quick play spell here instead of Case of the Canine. And then now we can go. Now we can fuse. Now we can go Rahu Dragontail using this, Valor and Urgula, wherever Urgula is at. If I can find Urgula. I know it's in the deck somewhere. Where is Urgula? There's Urgula. Use that and Urgula. Go into ourselves a Atheron is probably fine. And then go Atheron 1, targeting Valor, then Urgula 2 to set a card. We'll just, if you can only set one of the traps, I like setting the Horn or the Flame better, because it is just a spell trap negate. They can kind of play around the other one by putting everything in defense. But Flame is, like, always just negates a spell card, which is pretty nice. And then we add back the Valor to hand, which is pretty nice. Then we can go Urgula effect here. Bottom deck itself, add back the Femina to hand. Yeah, there we go. Add back Femina. And then that's our end field, actually. We can just set this, pass on that. This is a lot of interruptions. So we have the Secreton. If we verse like the mirror match, just fucks everything up, which is kind of cool as well. So that's something you can think about. We have Atheron that doesn't do anything on field, but we if we pass on this, so draw a standby main, right? We have Ripper to negate a card from hand or graveyard. You have a Book of Moon off of Lupus. Then you have Liberation to go ahead and fuse or go into Werewolf, and then pop a card off the quick play spell. And then this can also rip a card, which is pretty nice as well. You have Flame to go ahead and bottom deck. It doesn't really matter, probably just Rahu is fine. And then draw a card, which negates a spell card. That's an insane draw, holy shit. And then we can go Femina effect, discarding itself using Atheron and Molar to go into a second Atheron. Atheron compulses a card and then Chainlink to Molar to set and then negate a card or negate a monster on field, and this just gets you the follow-up in tail, which is pretty nice as well. You still have Veiler, which is insane, and then this can also reborn itself from the graveyard as well. So a lot of interruptions just off of that 5-card sample hand. Again, the reason why I want to show you 5-card sample hands, to kind of show you that this deck can play with both engines, which is pretty nice as well, because there really isn't a 2-card combo that can get to both engines. So that was it for that 5-card sample hand. Now let's get into the second one, shall we? Alrighty, now on to the second 5-card sample hand I'll be showing off today. So we'll give it a little bit of shuffle. The first one we showed off was actually kind of insane. I'm glad I actually showed that off with like the Secretron Reborn, a 5, and kind of play with the Canine stuff. That was really, really, really cool. So we'll give it a couple little shuffles here, and then we'll draw 5 cards here. 4, 5. Okay, so this is just Dracotail fusion. This is just Dracotail combo. Can't really get to Canine with this. Again, the Dracotail can't access the Canine stuff, and the Canine stuff can't access the Dracotail stuff. It's kind of, if you draw them in tandem, they can kind of play really well together. So, well, standby main phase here. How do I want to do this? We can do this. Search for, probably Lucius is probably fine. Then go, oh, but if Lucius gets negated, we're so fucked. Maybe this wasn't the correct way to play it. Actually, I'm going to get Femina. Unfortunately, I want to play this differently to kind of get to seals, but if we get hand trapped on our normal summon, we lose. So this is probably correct to search for Femina instead. Just in case our normal summon does get negated, we're fine. Did it search Femina? No, it did not. Give me Femina to hand, please. Then we can go Femina effect. Is this correct? Use. Why wouldn't it be correct? Yeah, fuck it. We'll use Femina effect using these two in hand. Go ahead and special Atheron. Go Atheron 1, Molar 2, Pan 3 to go ahead and set a couple cards. Now, we already used tail effect. So we just use this, or sorry, not tail, Q2. So we use Rahu, Flame, and we already drew Horn, which is fucking annoying as fuck too. And then we can add back, I'd probably add back Femina and Molar, Pan. We'll add back Pan, why not? And then we can go Rahu, Dragontail. Fusing off Femina and Urgula from the deck to go ahead and summon out, not Atheron, the Grammel here. And then go chain 1, chain 2 to set cards. Now we have everything in rotation, so I guess we just get follow-up off of this, unfortunately, because we already have fucking Horn in hand, which is annoying as fuck. Set both of these, and then we go Urgula effect, bottom deck itself, add back Femina. Yeah, that's probably correct. I guess we didn't have to do that. If there's a different way we could have played. We could add Molar back to hand instead of adding Femina back to hand. We get one less set. We use the Molar and Urgula. We could have gotten there where we could have got Molar and almost won Molar and then pass. There was a way to do it, but I'm not going to go back because I think it's kind of convoluted. But instead of adding back Femina off of Atheron, we add back Molar, just so we can have it in hand. Then we do the same thing where we fuse off, instead of Femina off of the Rahu, we fuse off the Molar and Urgula. We get one less set, but we can still add back the Femina with Urgula, and then, I don't know. It could have been played better, I think. I think there was a way to get a Rahu or Molar onto the field. But this is the same end field. We set fucking Horn, which is annoying as fucking pass. But we still have a lot of interruptions here because we can still go Flame effect to negate a spell card, then bottom deck tail, and then draw a card. We draw Jokel, which is kind of cool. Then we go, we can chain this to pop a card as well. Then can go Horn effect to compulse a card as well. Bottom deck this. draw a card, which is fucking second Fua, fucking solid, nothing we can do with that. And then go Famina effect, fuse off Pan, Fua, might as well. And we have to use a Dracotail, so probably Atheron, just so we can use all our cards in hand for that. To go and summon out another Atheron. We use 3 cards in our hand, so Atheron's a bounce 3, which is insane, and then Pan Chainlink 2 to set a card and then pop a monster on field, which is pretty nice as well. So we get follow-up, even though we already have all the fucking follow-up in the universe. We can just reset the flame that we bottom decked, which is pretty nice as well, and that's kind of our interruptions there, but like that's still a lot of interruptions to play through. But unfortunately, we didn't draw the Canine portion of the deck there, so we kind of just had to play with the Dragontail stuff. But yeah, that's kind of the idea. Sometimes you just draw just one engine, but the one engine by itself still does a lot, which is pretty cool. And then we technically have Jokel for next turn as well, which is kind of cool to think about as well. But yeah, very, very okay hand there. Alrighty, now on to the last 5-card combo portion. We'll be showing off for Canine Dracotail here. So we'll give it a couple little shuffles before we draw cards. But again, there's no 2-card combos. I would show it off if there was. But again, the 2-card combos only evolve if you want to just play with pure Canine or pure Dracotail. But both engines together, you kind of need to draw a 5-card hand, unfortunately. So we'll shuffle up here and then draw 5 cards. Can we stop drawing Horn, please? Oh my god, this hand is not good. What the fuck is this hand? What? This hand's unplayable. What? I guess you can go normal summon Lantern, effect, and then search for a spell card, which is going to be this dude. And then go Case of the Canine, effect to search, just search for Azuna. Pass. That's how bad this hand is, huh? That's just how bad the hand is. Unfortunately, there's nothing you can do. Like we drew both trap cards. What the fuck? The fuck is that? Now, I want to keep that portion of the video in just because sometimes it is important to show that sometimes you just draw the wrong half of stuff. Like, we drew the wrong half of Canine and Dracotail in the same hand. Like, we drew both traps plus Lantern. Lantern's not the good one you want to draw, right? So, sometimes that just happens with this deck where you're just like, man, I just drew the wrong half of every engine in this deck, so now I can't play. So, I will keep it in the video just to kind of show that off there. But we'll give another quick shuffle. Hopefully, we draw a better hand here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Wow, that hand's wild. Holy shit. Holy shit, this hand's insane. What the fuck? So we can go Jokel effect here. So we'll start off with Jokel, special itself and Lupus to the field, and then go Jokel effect to add a non-canine card. We already have our non-aqua canine monster. We already have Azuna, so I might as well just search a Lantern here. And then we'll just go overlay these two into a Canine Ripper. Go Ripper effect, detaching Lupus is fine, I guess. To go ahead and makes it where Lupus actually makes it where it can't be targeted, if I'm not mistaken. Or does it have to have it as material? Never mind, maybe not. I don't know how that would work. I'm not going to try to do it right now, though. So we can just search for a monster, or it searches for a card by technicality. So we can actually get the Quick Play spell. Wherever the Quick Play spell is at. I know it's in here somewhere. I see the continuous spell. There it is. It searches for a card, right? Yep, searches for a card. And then we can go Lantern effect, special itself, and Lupus to the field. Oh, don't trigger Lupus. Special Lupus. And then go effect to search for a Case of the Canine. The continuous spell. And then now we can just overlay these two into a Sky Blaster. Okay, now we can go Case of the Canine, just search for a monster in Azuna, just so we have a monster in hand. So now that we're done with our XYZs, now we can go into our Dragontail stuff. So, yeah, we need to use Rahu, unfortunately, because we don't have another Dracotail in hand besides Famina. So we use Famina, and Urgula is probably, we have it normal. That's something. If we get Urgula, what does that do? We'll just send Urgula just so we're safe. Use those two into probably Grammel, honestly. Grammel, why not? Why not Grammel? And then go chain 1, chain 2. And go ahead and set the Q2 and then Flame. Set both of these. And then go Effective Tail, or Q2 to search. Search for... We can just search for Pan. That's not terrible. Why not? Why not just search for Pan? Well, I guess before we do this, we can actually do this effect to see if we actually get it back before committing to that. Because if this somehow gets banished, then we can just go, okay, search for Femina instead. But now, since we have Femina, we can just go for Pan instead. We don't get to the other card, though, which is kind of unfortunate. But I think I'm fine with that. We can go this, fuse, go into that, add back. No, it's just so I can get to the other trap card, we can do that. Yeah, I mean, that's not terrible. Actually, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do Femina, or actually, I don't want to do that. I actually just thought about it. I actually don't want to do that. Right? Right? Yeah, I don't want to do that. We can't get to the other trap anyways. Oh, no, we haven't used Pan Effect. No, this is correct. I'm a fucking idiot. I'm just overthinking. Using this and Azuna in hand because we don't really need it. Go ahead and special Atheron and go chain 1, chain 2, chain 3. We already used Femina, so chain 1, chain 2, Pan, but we get to add both of these back to hand because we use 2 cards in hand, so we add both of these back to hand off of Atheron effect, and we set the last trap card in Horn to make sure we get that interruption as well. And then in that case, we'll kind of just pass on that whenever I stop lagging and I can just reset the Horn here. And we set this and we pass. I mean, this is kind of insane field, right? So standby main phase. We have this to negate a monster from hand or graveyard. We have Liberation to XYZ and then pop a card, which is insane. And then this can also rip a card out of hand. And then you can go Book of Moon, detaching the Lupus. And then you can go Flame affecting a spell card. And then you can chain Gramble to pop a card as well. Bottom deck, draw a card. We drew into Ash, insane. That's fucking wild as fuck that we drew Ash there. We can compulse a card, bottom decking the Flame here, and then draw a card once again. We drew Jokel, which is just nice follow-up as well. Then we can go Effect of Femina using this, and probably Jokel, to be honest with you. We probably don't need the Jokel. Summon out Atheron once again. Go Atheron 1, which is a compulse 2 because we use two cards in hand. Chainlink to Pan to set and then pop a card, which is insane. This just gets the follow-up in Q2 Dragontail. And it pops a card, then we bounce 2 cards from the field to the hand. And then we can, if they ever summon back from the graveyard, we can go this effect. We actually, no. We still have a Zuna effect, but we don't have another rank 5 we can make because we already used Ripper effect. But like, this is something you can just save for follow-up in that case instead, so this can just reborn itself. There's a lot of stuff we can do with that hand. So I'm glad I'm showing off these 5-card sample hands to kind of show you what the deck can do, right? So yeah, that is it for the 5-card sample hands. Again, there wasn't really any 1 to 2 card or even 2 to 3 card combos I can show off with this deck. I kind of just needed to draw a 5-card sample hands. That's the reason why I just showed off the 5-card sample hands instead of showing off like 2 to 3 card combos with this deck, because it does matter. You kind of need the 5-card sample hands to kind of play with this deck. So that is it for this deck list. Now let's get into our next deck list. Alrighty, now on to our next deck list that can splash Dracotail, and that is going to be Dracotail Canine. A very, very interesting deck. Now, I think maybe like even a month ago now, I talked about something with Dragonmaid Blue Eyes. I kind of talked about that deck in the past where you can kind of play both engines. Like, even though both engines don't technically get to each other in tandem together, they're actually kind of insane. This is the same idea. By technicality, Dracotail can't get to Dragonmaid and Dragonmaid can't get to Dracotail. However, if you draw both of them in tandem, it's fucking insane. It's actually a really cool deck that you can play in the next format with the Dracotail stuff, and I do expect people to actually be playing this deck as well. Maybe like not as popular as maybe like Canine Dragon or Canine Dracotail, but still something I think you probably would see in like at like a local or even regional event as well. So, the idea is actually the Dragonmaid stuff is a 1-card combo. So the Chamber and Parlor are all 1-card combos that helps you get into Ladies Dragonmaid, which is insane, which is very good because none of the Dracotail stuff can get 1-card combos. So like having 1-card combos in the deck is very solid as well. But the idea is that you can get to Changeover in this deck, and Changeover is just a free fusion summon poly that you can search in this deck. It can fusion summon a dragon fusion monster from their extra deck. It doesn't have to be a Dragonmaid. It can be a dragon fusion monster, which matters because Atheron is a dragon fusion monster. So it makes it where if you draw, let's say like Chamber Dragonmaid plus or let's say Parlor Dragonmaid plus any of your Dracotail names, you can go both full Dragonmaid plus full Dracotail combo with just that. That's kind of insane to think about. Just because, again, the Dragonmaid stuff does have a searchable fusion that you can actually use multiple times in a turn as well. It's actually kind of an insane fusion spell for Dragonmaid, but it also can be used for Dracotail as well. So again, the deck list itself, it's the same idea. Now, you're on less normal summons. I cut Molar down to 2 because this deck is a very heavy normal summon reliant, right? You're playing Lucius, which is just a normal summon. Molar is a normal summon. Chamber is a normal summon. Parlor is a normal summon. So by technicality, you have 3, 6, 9, 10, 11 normal summons in the deck. So that's the reason why I cut down Molar. It would be 12 if I played 3 Molar. But I decided to cut it down just a little bit, just so you're playing a little bit less normal summons in the deck here. Again, if you're wanting to normal summon, you probably want to normal summon the Dragonmaid stuff, because the normal summon for Dragonmaid does do a lot by itself, unlike Dracotail's normal summons do. So that's the reason why I cut down on the Dracotail normal summons compared to the Dragonmaid stuff. Now, I'm not playing the red Dragonmaid. I don't think that's necessary. I think Parlor and Chamber are really the only ones you need to use, because I think the red one, I think it's Kitchen Dragonmaid, isn't the greatest in the world. Now, the bricks in Dragonmaid you do have to play is Leplore, because you need the big green dragon to make Lady's Dragonmaid. Now, Leplore isn't that much of a brick, because going second, it does something by itself. It's something you can just discard target opponent's monster. They can't activate that monster's effects on the field this turn, which is kind of insane to think about. It's kind of an insane card for you, but if you end up drawing this, you can always target one of your own monsters to get it to graveyard if you need to get it to graveyard. Now, Chimbara is a brick, because this is a reborn for Dragonmaid monsters in the graveyard or banishment, but like, if you're going first, you need to set up that play, so it is a brick. Changeover is just a free poly for the deck, so it's not necessarily a brick. Even if you just draw this plus Dracotail monsters, you can still use it just as a polymerization. And then Hospitality, you do have to play just so you can make Chamber Dragonmaid a 1-card combo. So that's kind of the bricks you're playing. Now, I'm not playing Tiding. You could play Tiding, but a lot of the time in testing, I decided if I was going to search, a lot of the times I'm going to search the Changeover. The only time I was going to search Tiding is if I already had Changeover or if I had Changeover already in hand. So that was the only time. So Tiding could be in this deck if you want to as well, but I decided against it just because the search target in this deck is usually just Changeover for me instead. For the non-engine, we're on 12, which seems a little low, but again, like, it's still fine enough. Like, you're still, like, again, you have to consider, well, Femina by itself also could play during your opponent's turn. It's by technicality 15 going second cards, which is pretty nice. Now, with Femina, you kind of have to draw a Dracotail monster to go with it, but that is something you could consider. Again, I'm playing, like, Droll in here because it is a spellcaster for, like, Dracotails to go into, like, Secretron or Mist Room, which matters. But again, this is any non-engine you want to play, and then Magna is in here because not only can it search for Molar or any, like, Urgula or Pan, it can also search for any of the Dragonmaid cards as well. So Magna, I think, is probably a mainstay in this deck as well. For extra deck tightness things here, so we're playing 2 House, 2 Lady, and then 1 Shoe when it comes to the Dragonmaid stuff. I think this is a perfectly fine enough ratio. Technically, this guy is a part of the Dragonmaid stuff as well. Now, you can also make this with the Dracotail stuff. It's not like, it's, you could do it. I don't think you would do it, but you could do it if you really want to by using like an Atheron plus like a Pan to go into it. But a lot of the time you're using this with the Dragonmaid stuff. But I think this is probably fine enough. I don't think you necessarily only need 1 Shoe. You don't really need more. Hell, you can get away with 1 Ladies if you really want to, but I'm playing 2 just in case. For the Dracotail guys, we're on 3 Atheron, 2 Grammel. Again, you can get away with 2 and 2 if you really want to, but this was perfectly fine. For me, we're on 1 Mysteroon and 1 Secretron. Again, this matters more for the Dracotail stuff, but something you could do in the deck, and I think it's perfectly fine in the extra deck. And then 1 Spirit and 1 Seals because you can make Seals in this deck because you're playing a lot of dragons, and then Spirit is to turn your Lucius into a dragon, which helps get into Seals there. So, yeah, that is it for the deck list itself. Now let's get into the combo, shall we? Alrighty, now on to the 2-card combo I'm going to be showing off with Dragonmaid Dragontail, and then I'm going to do 3 5-card sample hands as well with this deck. So the idea is with this deck is if you open both Dragonmaid and Dracotail together, they're kind of an insane combo that you can do it with. Now, there are combos, it's one of those things like you don't need to draw both of them together to still play. If you draw just Dragonmaid cards, you can still play very well with those cards. If you just draw Dracotail cards, you can still pretty much play with those cards as well. But if you draw both of them together, they make it very insane as well. So this is a 2-card combo showing off starting off with Dragonmaid, Parlor Dragonmaid, and any Dracotail monster. Now, there are different lines depending on the Dracotail monster you draw that I will be showing off all the variants of it, but it does matter, and I'll show where it matters at. But again, any Dragonmaid monster plus a Dracotail kind of gets to this combo as well. If you just draw a Dragonmaid 1-card combo, it doesn't get you to the Dracotail stuff, but it still does Dragonmaid combo, which is pretty cool. But if you draw both together, it's pretty insane. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into the combo, shall we? So we'll go standby main phase here. We'll go normal summon Parlor. Parlor effect to go ahead and dump Leplore. Then banish Leplore and Parlor to go ahead and special out Lady's Dragonmaid. Lady Dragonmaid effect is special to special out Chamber Dragonmaid. Chamber Dragonmaid will go ahead and search for Dragonmaid changeover. So this is where it diverts. So that's where I want to point out at. So again, it depends on the Dragontail monster you draw, but all the Dragontail monsters can get to combo. It just depends on which one. So Lucius can do it. Now I have two other ways you can do it. If you draw a level 5 or higher Dragontail monster, so either Pan or Urgula, it doesn't. And then Molar has its own thing as well. Even though it's a dragon, it's not a level 5 or higher, so that does matter as well. All three of them, so any name gets you to this. This one is showing off if you draw a spellcaster, so either Lucius or Femina does it, but again, they all have different lines, but they do the combo. Now, Molar is probably the worst one, and I'll show you why in just one second, but all of them pretty much get you to the combo. So if you draw any Spellcaster Dragontail, this is the line you do. So you go change over to fusion off the Lucius and the Chamber Dragonmaid to go ahead and make Secretron, which is a dragon plus a Spellcaster. It's still a dragon fusion monster, so it still works under this. You go Lucius effect or any of the Spellcasters that you drew to go ahead and set yourself the Q2 Dragontail from deck. And then you go Secreton effect to special back the chamber from graveyard by shuffling back the Lucius here, because this has an effect to target a dragon or spellcaster monster in your graveyard. Special one, and you do place the other one on the bottom. So you special chamber and then bottom deck the Lucius, and then you go changeover effect to bounce back the chamber to add itself back to hand, which is pretty nice. Then go Q2 Dragontail to go ahead and search for Urgula here. Then go effect of changeover to go ahead and fusion off the Lady and the Urgula. So, or it could be Pan as well, depending on what you want to do. But I think Urgula is the better one for this combo. To do Shu here. And then you have the Omni Negate with Shu, which is pretty nice because it required a Dragonmaid monster plus a level 5 or higher dragon, which was the Urgula that we did. So now we can go Urgula effect to set ourselves a Dracotail spell trap, which is Rahu, and then go Rahu effect using the Chamber in hand and Femina in the deck to go ahead and special out Grammel. Now we go effect of Femina. Now, since we can only get to one of the traps, again, the best one to set is Flame, because the Flame will always be live, unlike the Horn, where they can kind of play around it by not putting things in attack position. Dragontail Flame will always be live, because it can negate any spell on the field, which is pretty nice. So you set Flame, and then go ahead and do Urgula effect, bottom deck itself to go ahead and add back Femina to the hand here. And this is your end field. So you have Shu, Secretron Dragon, and Grammel plus the Flame here. Now you get a lot more once we get into standby. In the standby, you can go effect of Shu to special back a level 9 or lower Dragonmaid monster from your hand or graveyard. You special back Lady's Dragonmaid from the graveyard. Effect on special summon will special summon out a level 4 or lower Dragonmaid. Summon Chamber. Chamber effect will go ahead and just search for Hospitality here. Then still in standby, you go Lady's effect to fusion summon Leplore, and you fusion probably just, depending on the matchup, if you don't think Secreton will get the value, you can probably shuffle back Secreton if you want to, but this matters if you verse like the mirror match. Secreton could be really good, but if you fusion back the Ladies to go into Philoregenesis, which requires Dragon Fusion plus a level 7 or higher Dragon monster. Go into main phase, we have a lot of interruptions here. So you have Shu, which is just an Omni Negate, which is pretty good, and it summons out House from the extra deck as well. Then you have Philoregenesis, which is target a card your opponent controls or in their graveyard, banish it. If you banish a card on field, you return a Dragon monster you control back to the hand. So if you banish a card on their field, you bounce back Chamber, which in turn triggers House Chamber or House Dragonmaid to pop a card, which is pretty nice. Then you have Femina effect to go ahead and fusion summon. You can chain Grammel to that to go ahead and pop a card on field. Then go Grammel and Chamber to go ahead and summon out Dragontail Atheron. Atheron effect would be a bounce of a card because we only use the one card in the hand there, so it's another compulse. Then Flame effect, we can negate a spell card, bottom decking Rahu to go ahead and draw a card. We're drawing a draw, which is pretty nice as well. So in this scenario, you had an Omni Negate, a Banish, a Bounce, a Spell Negate, a Pop off the Grammel, and a Compulse off of Atheron as well. And you have the follow-up with like Hospitality and stuff like that as well. So pretty nice for a 2-card combo. Now, if you open a level 5 or higher Dragon Monster in your hand, it also still does the combo for the Dracotail stuff. So you just go changeover at this point using the level 5 or higher in hand, which in this case is Pan, and the house, or the, sorry, not house, ladies to go into Shu straight away. Now you have the Omni Negate. Now you can go Pan effects since we use the fusion material to go ahead and set Q2 Dragontail. Then go effect of changeover, bouncing back the chamber to add itself back to hand. Then go Q2 to go ahead and search for Femina. Go Femina, or changeover using Femina and Chamber to go into Atheron. You go Atheron Chainlink 1, Femina Chainlink 2. We'll add back Pan and Femina back to hand. Now again, if you used Urgula, you can play it a little bit different to make sure you keep Urgula, so you can add like Chamber back to hand instead. If you ended up drawing Urgula as your level 5 or higher Dracotail, then set Rahu effect using the Femina and Urgula to go ahead and set, or at least use Grammel, or to summon Grammel, and then effect of Urgula to set. Again, you only get the one trap, so I like setting Flame instead. Then Urgula effect, bottom decking itself to add back the Femina back to hand. Now, this could be Chamber instead. Like, again, we only added back Pan because we hard drew Pan as our level 5. If it's Urgula, you still get the same combo. This is probably just a Chamber in hand instead, but it's just a monster in hand, which matters a lot. You pass on that, standby, you go Shu effect to special back ladies. Lady effect will special out Chamber. Chamber effect will go ahead and search out Hospitality. And then ladies effect to go ahead and fusion summon. We can use the Atheron that we fusion summon, which is pretty nice to go ahead and summon out this Fila, which is pretty cool. Then main phase, you have the house, or Shu to Omni Negate. I'm fast forwarding, don't do that. House to Omni Negate, or Shu to Omni Negate, and then special house. Then Fila effect to banish a card, bounce back Chamber. Then house will trigger because of that, because the Dragonmaid was returned to hand to pop a card. Then you can go Femina effect, chain the Grammel to pop a card, then use Grammel, Chamber, and then the Pan, which is pretty nice, to go ahead and get, again, the Pan could be any monster, so this is a guaranteed bounce 2 off of this Atheron, which is pretty nice. But since we drew Pan, we also get to set follow-up and bounce a card, or pop a card as well, which is pretty nice. And then we still have Flames to get a spell, bottom deck the Pan, draw a card, which ended up being Femina as well. So with this, we still got the Omni Negate, we still got the bounce off of House, because we had the Regis to banish a card. We had 2 compulses off our Atheron, and we had a spell negate plus the pop off of the Grammel as well, which is pretty nice with that. So if you draw, let's say Molar is your Dracotail monster, this is the worst one by technicality, but it still gets you there, and I'll show you why here. So you go change over here using the Molar and the House to go ahead and the ladies to go into House Dragonmaid. This requires a Dragonmaid monster plus a dragon. Molar fits that requirement. You can't do Shu because Shu needs a level 5 or higher dragon. You go Molar effect to go ahead and set yourselves the Q2 effect to go ahead and add Femina, and then you go changeover effect to bounce back the Chamber Dragonmaid to add itself back to hand here. Then go changeover effect using Femina and Chamber to go into Atheron. Atheron effect will add 2 cards back to hand, but Femina Chainlink 2 will trigger here as well to set Rohu. We'll add back Femina and we'll add back Chamber here. Now we can go effective Rohu using Femina and Urgula, sorry, we got there eventually, to summon out the Grammel here, and then go effective Urgula to set the Flame here, and then go Urgula effect to add about bottom deck itself and get Femina. Now we can still play here and go Femina effect to fusion summon using the Chamber and the Atheron to go ahead and summon out Dragonmaid Shu here, because we used a Dragonmaid and a level 5 or higher, which was the Atheron here. And we'll pass on that. So this is pretty much the same thing, but you don't get to keep the Femina as a fusion summon during your opponent's turn, which is very unfortunate. But this still does a lot here, so that's the reason why it's the worst, because you don't get to keep Femina in hand, but it still does a lot, because in standby, you do Shu effect to special back the lady. Lady effect will summon out Chamber. Chamber effect will go ahead and search out your Hospitality from the deck here. And then go Lady's effect to fusion, choosing itself and Laplore to go into the Regis here. And then main phase, you still have the Omni Negate with House, or Shu to go into House. Then you have Regis effect to banish a card on field and then return the Chamber back to hand. And then you trigger both houses, which gets 2 pops, which is nice. So that's like kind of the trade-off with this combo. If you draw Molar, you have to use the Femina, but you get 2 pops off the house, which is pretty nice. Then you go Flame effect to negate a spell, then change Grammel to pop a card as well. You bottom deck the Ruhu to draw a card, draw into Laplore. Shows you I didn't shuffle, but that's whatever. That didn't really matter. And then that is it for your interruption, unfortunately. But still, again, you lose out on the Femina, but you still get to the combo. That's why Molar's the worst one, but you still get to the combo there. So that is it for the 2-card combos. Now let's get into the 5-card sample hands. Alrighty, now on to the 5-card sample hands using the Dragonmaid Dracotail deck. So I'm going to give a quick shuffle. Again, you can do combo with just Dragonmaid and just Dracotail, but both of them together is pretty nice. So that's why I want to show off a couple 5-card combo hands, because Dracotail also is really dependent on the cards in hand as well. We'll shuffle up and give it a couple draws here. We drew Chamber. Oh my god, Femina, it's already good. We drew Hospitality. Oh my god, what the fuck? This hand is already insane. And we drew Molar. Okay, this hand works. We can work with this hand, so we can normal summon Chamber effect to go ahead and search for. We already have Hospitality, which is really good, so we can just search for Changeover. Now, the reason why we have Hospitality is to make Changeover or Chamber a 1-card combo, but since we already drew Hospitality, we can do the Changeover, which is pretty nice. Now we can go link this into Spirit. Go Changeover or Hospitality, special Chamber, and then go dump the other dude as well. Whatever. Where the fuck is he? There he is. Dump this to graveyard. Then we can go banish, summon out Lady's Dragonmaid. We are locked into dragons, by the way, because of the link one, which is very important, but all these are dragons, so that's not that much of a problem to play around, but, you know, something to think about. Lady's Dragonmaid effect will trigger on special summon to go ahead and special Parlor. There he is. Parlor Dragonmaid. Parlor will trigger here to go ahead and sending. It doesn't necessarily matter. I guess we'll dump Leplore is probably fine. It doesn't really matter because we already have the change over here. Now we can do a couple things. How do I want to play this? We can go boom, boom. Yeah, I think we can just link this into Seals, which is pretty nice. Yeah, why won't... Yeah, we can just link these two into... No, is that correct? I'm just thinking if this is correct. I think it is. I think it is. We can link both of these into Seals here. If it lets me link both into Seals, thank you. We'll go with it. I already committed to it. We'll link both into Seals. Then go change over using Femina and Mauler. Go ahead and special out Atheron. Atheron will trigger, adding both of our guys back to hand. But we can also chain both of these to get the spell traps going. Both of these back to hand. We haven't used any of the Dracotail spell traps, so we can set this and this. Cool, we're good. And then we can go changeover effect, bouncing itself back to hand by getting Parlor back to hand, and then go changeover effect using Parlor and Atheron to go ahead and summon out the Shoe, which is really good as well. Now we can go Q2, go ahead and add... Ooh, interesting. What do I want to add back? This is a little interesting. I think we get Lucius here is probably fine, actually. Then go Rahu effect using Lucius, and Urgula is probably fine. Actually, no. We don't search Lucius. No. We do. Ignore me. I just want to get a little greedy. I'm not going to get greedy. We use the Lucius and Urgula to go ahead and summon out Grammel. And then go chain 1 Urgula, chain 2 Lucius to get both of our spell traps into rotation. So Flame and Horn, which is really good. And then we can go Lucius effect, bottom deck itself, to add Lucius back to hand, which is really good. So now that's our end field, which is crazy good. Oh my god, this is insane. So end phase, draw, standby, you go Shoe effect to go ahead and special out Chamber. Chamber effect will go ahead and special. We'll do special. It doesn't matter. I guess Chamber doesn't have a target, so we go Parlor effect dump. That doesn't matter either. I guess we'll just dump Chamber. And then go effect a fuse. We fuse off this and this is fine, I guess. Go ahead and special out our Regis. And then main phase, we have so much stuff to do. We can go Omni Negate with Shoe, bounce itself back to special House, which is an Omni Negate. We got this effect to banish a card. We can banish or add back House, or Parlor, and then House effect will pop a card. We have A spell negate with flame, which we can chain Grammel to pop a card as well. We can bottom deck. It doesn't really matter. We'll bottom deck this one to draw a card. We draw into Fua, fucking terrible. And now we can go Seal's effect, bounce a card. Then Seal's effect is special, a Molar, which is insane. We can even special Pan by technicality. Then the Femina gets a lot of value off of that, but Molar is probably fine as well. Go Molar effect fusing this. So much. We have so much. We can fuse this. Yeah, fuse. We use 2 in hand, so we can bounce 2 off of it. Yep, that's correct. Summon out a second Atheron, which bounces 2. We negate a card or a monster off a Molar and Lucius Trigger, so they both get to set follow-up as well. So we set Ruhu and Q2, which is very insane. We still have Horn to compulse a guy. We bottom deck a dude and draw a card as well. That was just whatever draw. We still have this effect to trigger. We can use these two to go into either Secreton or Mysterion, which is really good as well. So very insane hand that was. A very insane hand. That was a good 5-card sample hand. Alrighty, time for our second 5-card sample hand. That first one was very, very insane. I'm glad we showed that off. That was a really, really insane hand. So now we can just shuffle up here a couple times, and then we'll draw our 5 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A little bit of a rougher hand with this one, but we can still play. It still works. We can normal summon Chamber effect to go ahead and add. This is where we have to add the Hospitality to hand here, wherever Hospitality is. So I guess I'll show you the 1-card combo with Chamber, I guess. Link this into Spirit. Go House Dragonmaid, special back Chamber. And then we get to bounce, or yeah, we get to send the Chambara to graveyard. And then now we'll fuse into Lady using this and Chambara. Go ahead and special out Lady. Lady effect will trigger here to go ahead and get Parlor to the grave, or special Parlor. Parlor effect will go ahead and dump ourselves the changeover to hand here. So now, what do I want to do? So this hand still works. We can just link into Seals. Yeah, I like that. Link this into Seals. Then go changeover effect, bounce it back Parlor, and then add this to hand. We don't have any Dracotail, but that is fine because we can go Rahu Dracotail using... I think this is fine. We'll use Laplore, and this is the rough one. I don't know what to do with this one. Oh, fuck. What do? We do Urgula? We already normaled, so that's like the problem. Oh, how do I want to do this? We do this, that. Yes, this is probably fine. Okay. Summon out the Atheron. Atheron will add back... Oh, we get to add back off of Atheron. I forgot about that. Fuck. Is it worth doing that then? Oh, it might not be Urgula then. Fuck. It might not be Urgula. We might not send Urgula here. It might be just Femina we'd send instead. I think Femina is better for us. So we'll dump the Femina off of this. And then go, or this add back Femina, then Femina Chainlink 2 to go ahead and add itself back to hand here. We set Tail because we haven't triggered this effect yet. And then we can go changeover using this and this, go into Shoe. Then go effect to search. We'll search for, I guess we can get Urgula now, which is pretty nice. We only get to 1 spell trap, unfortunately. We can go effect of this using Urgula and the fucking worthless Fua in our hand. Special out Grammel, and then go Urgula effect to set, which will get us the Flame. The Flame is always the better one, in my opinion. And then we can go Urgula effect, bottom deck itself, and then add back the Femina to hand, which is really good. Cool. That is the end field there. So still we got the Seals. Still very crazy. End phase, draw, standby. You know, same thing here. Special out the or the lady effect will trigger to special Chamber Dragonmaid. No, not even Chamber because we got both spells in rotation. So it's probably just Parlor. Parlor effect dumping. Probably just Chamber is fine. And then we can go effect to fuse using this and Chambara to go ahead and fuse into, where is it? There it is. Into the Regis. And then main phase, we can go Omni Negate with Shu, which is really good. Summon out House, and then this can banish a card. And then add this back to hand. This pops a card, which is really cool. We can still do Seal's Effect to bounce a card, and then Seal's Effect can go ahead and special Molar, which is really good. And then go Molar Effect, chain Grammel to pop a card, fuse this, and Chamber to go into a Atheron. Atheron bounces a card, and the Molar will activate to set a card. We just set follow up here, set this, and then it negates a card on field, which is pretty nice. We got Flame Effect to go ahead and negate a spell card, which is cool, which is still nice in Eruption. We draw into a second Ash, which is unfortunate. Then Effect of Femina, we can use this. Fuse these two off into either Mr. Rune or Secreton, depending on the matchup. Again, depends on what you verse, but Mr. Rune is better into all matchups, so I'll summon Mr. Rune as just another banish as well. So very insane 5-card sample hand there. Now let's get into our last 5-card sample hand. Alrighty, now on to our last 5-card sample hand to show off here. So I'll give that quick little shuffle. Again, the first 2 we showed off was very, very insane. So hopefully the third one's kind of like that as well. But that's already not off to a good start. 2, 5. Okay, so we can't play with the Dragonmaid stuff. So we just play with the Dracotail stuff. Again, that's the idea with the deck. If you don't open up, if you just open up Dracotail or you just open up Dragonmaid, it's still fine. You can still play with those engines. But opening up both of them together is still pretty insane. So with this, just normal summon this. Effect to search. Get Urgula is probably fine. Not gonna lie with you, Urgula is probably fine. Then we can go Effect of Femina. We use Urgula. This is gonna sound weird. Urgula and Nib to go into Atheron here. Then we go Atheron Chainlink 1. Targeting Nib and Femina, Urgula Chainlink 2, since it was used as fusion material. So we add both this and Nib. So that's the good thing about using hand traps as material. You can always just add it back to hand, which is very nice. Then we set this one, because we haven't triggered this one effect yet. And then now we can just go link this off into... Oh, we have used this effect, right? No, we haven't used the effect. That's kind of cool. We link that off into Spirit, and then link these both off into Seals, because we are not locked into fusions with this. And now we can go this, fusing this, and it doesn't really matter the second one. Probably just, we already used Lucius, right? No, we linked off Lucius, right? So we'll just use Lucius. Yeah, probably just use Lucius, probably is fine. Go ahead and get ourselves the Grammel. And then go chain 1, chain 2. Now, we already drew one of the traps, which is unfortunate. So, but this is a way to get to both traps. So that we just set this and then follow up off of the Q2, which is pretty nice. And then we can go Urgula effect, bottoms decking itself to add back the Femina to hand. And then go Q2 effect, since we have not triggered it this turn, to search for Pan for interruption on our opponent's turn as well. We'll set this and we'll pass. So we got to pretty much the same thing. It's a pretty good combo here. So we go end phase, draw, standby main. We can go Seals effect, bounces back a card, summon out the Molar, which is really good. Then we can go Molar effect, chain this to pop a card, then fuse this and Pan to go into Atheron. Atheron is just a 1 compulse. That's still fine because we got Pan chain 2 and then Molar chain 3. Molar negates a monster. Pan pops a card, which is very insane. So you get to bounce, and you get a bounce off of the Urgula, which is, or not Urgula, but what's his name? Fucking Atheron, which is really good. This gets just follow up, I guess. So this and this, why not? And then you can go Flame to get a spell card and then draw a card, which is pretty good. We drew into Fua, which sucks. Then you have Horn to bounce back an attack position monster, so just a compulse, which is pretty good, and then draw a card. Hospitality doesn't really get us there, but it's something, I guess. Then we can go this effect, using both the Atheron and the Grammel to go. Why are you, the fucking door's open? Okay, and then make ourselves either again Secretron or Mistron, depending on the matchup. You know, you still get the banish or something like that. It wasn't using a dragon and a spellcaster, so it's still fine. And you still have like Nib and stuff like that. So even though we didn't show off the Dragonmaid stuff with that, it's still Dracotail still can play by itself as well. And that's the same thing with Dragonmaid. Dragonmaid can also play by itself as well. So that is it for this deck list. Now let's get into our final deck list we're showing off today. Alrighty, now on to our last deck list I'll be showing off in today's video, and that is going to be Dracotail branded. Yeah, so sorry about the background. I went to work after the last combo I did. Came back, it's, a little bit darker, so I had a light on and stuff like that. So I apologize about that. But yeah, but another thing I want to say as well is this might be a little bit of a weirder list that you might not see maybe with branded. I'm not on Aluber in the main deck. I'm going to explain it in just one second. But the idea with this list is, or at least with the branded in general, is that branded fusion is kind of insane. It kind of makes your branded fusion by itself like a one-card combo for your Dracotail stuff. Now, the one thing I will say is kind of a problem with the Dracotail with the branded list is the Dracotails aren't the correct attributes because, they're earth, water, fire. Molar is the only one that's a dark, which kind of corrects itself to make for the branded stuff. But the other stuff is kind of a little rough. At least, Pan and Urgula are dragon. So, that can somewhat mix well with the branded stuff, but Lucius and Femina is kind of a little bit of a weirder one, to say the least. But the idea is branded fusion can just send either a Molar, a Urgula, or a Pan to the graveyard, and that helps you just get to your Dracotail stuff, which is pretty nice to think about. So that's the idea. Is branded fusion is kind of insane. Now, this list is a little bit different. This is kind of an experimental list I've been trying out. It's not the best thing in the world, but I do want to kind of show it off. Now, if you want to play a more traditional branded list, you could while playing a Luber and branded opening in the main decks and stuff like that. Hell, you can play like a 60-card version of this list and probably play the Grasslick Screener as well if you really want to do that. But I wanted to show off a little bit of a different thing I've been trying with the deck and actually kind of been liking is using the Cartesia package just as that branded package. Is you're just using Cartesia as just maybe another way to a polymerization because you can fuse summon any level 8 or higher fusion monster from your deck and use extra deck using a monster from your hand or field. Now, it doesn't have to use itself, so it could just be another poly in the deck that's just a monster, which is nice. But if you already have like more monsters to play with, it can go and turn into more interruptions by using Granganoil dumping Albion, and then Albion setting red as well. And then, the Granganoil can summon out Quem because it is a Dogmatica monster and kind of helps you with the Fallen of Albaz in the graveyard and kind of do more interruptions with that. So this is more of an idea I've been thinking about, is just using Cartesia as an engine. Now, you would still play Fusion since you're playing Fallen, you'd play Fusion as well, but just kind of a little bit of a weirder idea I kind of wanted to show off is just using the Cartesia package to kind of play with that as your branded package instead of playing like Alubers and openings and stuff like that instead. Again, it's up to your preference. I kind of like this kind of play style, but again, it really is up to your preference. If you prefer to play the Alubers and the openings and just try to get to branded fusion, you could as well. So for the engine, again, all the same engine. You're on 3 of the good ones, 1 of the ones you don't want to draw, 3 spells, 3 of each spell, and then 1 of each trap. For the branded stuff, I'm playing the 3 Cartesia, 1 Fallen, 1 Quem, 3 fusion deployments, 1 red, and 1 fusion. So this is kind of your little bit of a smaller package where you use Cartesia just kind of as a poly, but if you have like more monsters to play with, you can use it as interruption as well by getting the Granganoil, which can set up like turn 1 field to get Fallen and Quem onto the field, which is pretty nice, and getting red set as well. Again, I'll show off like the combo, or at least hopefully show you off the combos and the 5-card sample hands with this, because this isn't really like a 2-card combo kind of deck. Again, this is one of those decks, especially because Dracotail is like this, where you kind of need to go off your 5-card sample hands and just kind of play from there. And then I'm on 13 on-engine in a 42-card deck. Maybe you can play more board breakers in like a branded list if you really want to as well. But that's just your preference as well. Extra deck, we're still on 3 and 2. Again, you can get away with 2 and 2. 2 Albion, 1 Titaniclad, which does come up, and you'll see in one of the combos why this comes up. 1 Libellion, 1 Mirror Jade, 1 Granganoil, 1 Guardian Chimera, since we are playing the red, 1 Mystery Room, 1 Secretron Dragon, just kind of as your like Dracotail stuff, and 1 Albalenus as well, just because you could make this this theoretically through like a Branded Fusion 1-card combo if you really want to, by sending Urgula to the graveyard or something like that. As well, it's also if you draw Fallen and you verse a Dragon deck, you can just set Fallen, fuse off the entire field into Albia, which is pretty nice as well. So a little bit, weirder list. I do understand that when it comes to the branded deck. Again, if you want to play the 3 Aluber or, a little bit more ways to get to Branded Fusion, you can. I just want to show you off a little bit of a weirder version of the deck that I'm kind of trying out, and hopefully try to show you guys and try to help me crack the deck as well. So without further ado, let's get into the combo, shall we? Now on to the combo portion of the video here. So I have two combos to show off, a 1-card combo and a 1.5 card combo to show you off. And then after that, I'm going to do 3 5-card sample hands with the deck as well. So obviously with the 1 and a 1.5 card combos, we're going to be showing off Branded Fusion. So Branded Fusion is a 1-card combo for the deck. It's the only thing that can make Dracotail a 1-card combo, unfortunately. But that's the reason why Branded Fusion is so broken and why it's currently still limited at 1. So now let's get into the combo, shall we? So we go standby main phase. We'll go Branded Fusion effect here, sending Fallen of Albaz and Urgula to the graveyard to go ahead and fusion out Albalenius, because Branded Fusion can fusion anything that at least mentions Fallen of Albaz, which is Albalenius. So we send Urgula to the graveyard. Then we can go Urgula effect to go ahead and set a Q2 Dragontail. Activate Q2 Dragontail, search for Lucius. Then normal summon Lucius here. Lucius effect to go ahead and search for Femina. Then we go Femina effect to go ahead and fusion summon. We use Lucius and the Albalenius to go into a Secretron, because that's a spellcaster and a dragon that we can do with it. Now we can go ahead and do Lucius effect to go ahead and set the Rahu Dragontail. Then go Urgula effect, bouncing itself back to the deck and then adding back Femina. Then going Rahu's effect using Femina and Molar from the deck to go ahead and go into Atheron. Atheron effect to go ahead and target Femina, then Molar Chainlink 2, and then Femina Chainlink 3 to go ahead and set both the trap cards here, and then go ahead and add yourself Femina back to the hand here. Then we can go Secretron effect to go ahead and bottom deck Lucius to go ahead and getting Molar, which is pretty nice as well. And this is your end field just off the 1-card combo, which is very insane because this is pretty much just Dracotail combo, which is very, very nice to think about. So standby main phase, you can just go trap card effect to go spell negate, bottom deck, and then draw a card, which matters because you're trying to draw into more monsters. And then go Horn effect to go ahead and bottom deck Flame, and then draw a card, and it also compulses one of their monster, which is pretty nice as well. And then go Molar effect, going ahead and fusion summoning itself, Urgula, and draw Lockbird to go into a second Atheron. Atheron we can bounce 2 because we use 2 cards or 2 monsters from the hand. So it's a compulse 2, and then we have Molar Chainlink 2, Urgula Chainlink 3. Urgula can also pop a spell trap, which is pretty nice. But this is just to get follow-up in this case. We really only matter for the Atheron because Urgula was more of a draw. It could be any monster in that scenario. Then we go Femina effect using, Sorry, I actually take it back. There actually isn't a legal fusion target with Femina right now. Unfortunately, there's really nothing you can make because there's 3 dragons on the field. So basically, just off of 1-card combo, though, you have a spell negate, a compulse off of Dragonhorn, and you have double compulse off of Atheron, which is insane as well. Which is very insane because, again, even though that doesn't seem like much, again, Dracotail is not one of those decks that does 1-card combos, so surprisingly enough, with just Branded Fusion, you can still do a lot of interruptions. You technically have 4 more cards in your hand as well, which is very insane to think about. So that is it for the 1-card combo. Now let's get into the 1.5 card combo. Alrighty, now on to the 1.5 card combo using Branded Fusion and any monster in your hand. It does have to be a monster, unfortunately, but any monster will do it. So going standby main phase, we go Branded Fusion effect to go ahead and dump Pan and Fallen of Albaz. Not Urgula this time, we dump Pan to go ahead and special out Titaniclad instead because Pan has 2,500 or more attack. So we now use those 2, then go Pan effect to set a card. We set the Q2 Dragontail. Activate Q2 Dragontail, go ahead and search for Lucius, and then Lucius normal summon effect to go ahead and search for Femina here. Then we can go Femina effect to go ahead, discard itself to fusion summon the Lucius and the Titaniclad to go into Secretron once again. Then go Lucius effect to go ahead and set Rahu Dragontail. Now, this is where you do need the monster in hand to keep playing. Now, we go Rahu using the monster in hand and Urgula from the deck to go ahead and special out Grammel. Then we can go effect of Urgula to go ahead and set a trap card. Now, we're only going to be able to set 1 trap, so we always want to set Flame because Flame is a lot more live compared to Horn. And then go effect of Urgula in the graveyard, bottom decking itself to add back Femina from the hand. And then we can do Secretron effect to go ahead ahead and bottom deck Lucius to special back the Pan from the graveyard as well. And this is your end field. It might not seem as much because we're not done yet. With end phase, you go Titaniclad effect to go ahead and special out Quem. Quem effect, because it is a Dogmatica monster, can special itself, or special Quem, and then Quem effect will dump Cartesia. And then Cartesia effect will trigger in the end phase as well because a fusion was sent to the graveyard this turn to add itself back to hand. Now in draw, standby main phase, we still have a lot. We can go Flame effect to go ahead and negate a spell card, bottom decking a card, and then drawing a card. Now this card doesn't matter. You're just going to use this card as a discard fodder for Fallen Vabin. So if they ever, make an extra deck guy or something like that, you can just go into Quem here. Someone out Fallen, if you're versing like the Yummy matchup, you can just use one of their Yummies to go into Albion and then go into Mirror Jade. But if you're playing like K9 or even the Mirror match, you probably have to wait for them to commit to an extra deck monster for this. But it's still pretty good, discarding a card for Fallen to go ahead and make a Mirror Jade, which uses one of their monsters, so it takes a monster off of their field as well. Then Mirror Jade effect to go ahead and sending Albion to banish a card. Albion will get you follow-up as well. And we still have the Femina effect, so we can use Femina using the chain the Grammel to pop a card as well. But we use Pan and Cartesia to go ahead and make Atheron. Atheron effect will compulse a card, and then Pan will go Chain Link 2 to set a card, and also pops a monster as well. So you get that interruption as well. So in total, with the 1.5 card clan, you got a fusion summon with what's his name? Fallen of Albaz. So you took a monster off their field. You got a banish off of Mirror Jade. You got a spell negate off of Tail. But it also could be a horn effect to compulse a card if you wanted to be that as well. You also have Gramel's effect to pop a card. You also have Atheron to compulse a card. And you have Pan to pop a monster on the field, and you get the follow-up play as well. So with just 1.5 cards, you got 6 interruptions plus a follow-up as well, which is pretty nice. And you also have Secretron. If you verse the mirror match, just wins the game immediately as well. Something to think about with that as well. So that is it for the combos I wanted to show off. Now let's get into the 5-card sample hand, shall we? Alrighty, now on to the 5-card sample hands. I am going to show you 3 of them in this combo here. So, again, we're just going to shuffle up the deck again. This is going to show you what the deck can do because I think the 5-card sample hands are a lot better compared to 1 and 1.5 cards because Dracotail is just one of those decks where it's a very hand-dependent deck, so it's better to show you off a 5-card sample hand than showing off 1 and 2-card combos and stuff like that. Shuffle up a little bit here, and then we'll draw our 5-card hand here. 3, 4, 5. Okay, so we didn't draw any of the brand stuff, unfortunately, so this is just going to be Dracotail Combo, unfortunately. So, here, what do we want to do? We have 2 normal summons, which is kind of unfortunate. I mean, this is kind of still an insane card. We go Lucius. It still works. Set, add, and we can go Femina. But if that gets negated, we're kind of screwed. So we'll just normal summon Molar, just in case if this gets negated, we still have another way to fusion summon to play, like around Impulse or something like that. Go Molar effect to fusion. I guess we'll fuse this, and Lucius is probably fine. Go ahead and special out. Do we need Atheron? Probably not. I don't think we need Atheron. I don't think Atheron's really worth it. We can make Grammel right now. Yeah, I think that's probably better. We'll go that. So we'll go Chain 1, Chain 2 to go ahead and set both spell cards that we don't have in rotation just yet. We'll set Tail or Rahu and Q2 to the field here. Then I guess we can just use Rahu effect immediately using the Femina and Urgula from the deck here, wherever Urgula is at. There's Urgula. To go ahead and fuse into Atheron here. Go Atheron, Chain Link 1 to add back a card. I guess we can just add back. Doesn't necessarily matter. I guess Femina is okay. Yeah, we'll just add back Femina and then go Chain Link 2 Urgula, Chain Link 3 Femina, since they were both used as fusion material to go ahead and set the trap cards from the deck here. Set both of these, and then we can go Q2 Dragontail. We can actually just search Pan for interruption, which is pretty nice, so I'm gladly take that as well. Then we can go, this is going to be a little weird, but we can go Femina effect, fusing these 2 off, and then specialing out a Secretron Dragon. Then going Urgla effect, bottom decking itself to add this back to hand, and then going Secretron effect, bottom decking the Lucius and specialing out Molar, which is pretty good for us as well. And that's our interruption pieces there. So end phase, draw, standby, main. If they ever make a link, Synchro or Fusion monster, we can always just resummon these guys back into the field, so we can summon out Grammel that way. We still have a Spell Negate off of Flame, which is pretty good, so we can bottom deck Tail and draw a card. We draw into, oh my god, we just drew Hand Traps. Oh, we can do Horn Effect and compulse a card, bottom decking Flame, and then drawing another card. Quem, not necessarily the greatest in the world there, but still fine enough. And then we can do Molar Effect, Chain Grammel to pop a card on, or pop a card on field. Yeah, we pop a card and then using Molar, Pan, and we can just use Quem here, which is fine, which goes into Atheron. We can go Atheron Effect. We use 2 cards in hand, so that bounces to Pan Chainlink 2, which sets and then pops a card, and then Molar Chainlink 3, which sets and then negates a card, our monster on field. So we can just get follow-up off of both of them and still have them as interruption, which is pretty nice as well. So set both of these. And then Pan pops a card, Molar negates a card. This is a compulse of a 2 as well. And we still have Femina Effect here, fusing this off to fuse off, since we already used this and this, to go ahead and make Mysteroon, which is pretty cool, which is just another interruption by technicality as well. And then we can just use the other Atheron in graveyard to special itself back to the field as well. And we still have a Bestial, we still have a Droll, we still have an Ash. So a lot of interruptions there, which is pretty insane. So glad we can show off that, but we want to draw something of the branded stuff as well. So hopefully we can see that in the next 5-card sample hand. Alrighty, now on to the second 5-card sample hand here. So hopefully we can draw a branded card this time, because I kind of do want to draw the branded stuff with the Dracotail stuff, which would be pretty nice to show you off. But we're going to give it a couple little shuffles here, and then we'll draw 5 cards here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we drew Fallen and Quem. That's not the greatest in the world, I'm not going to lie with you. How do we want to do this? A little bit rough, I'm not going to lie with you. We can go... No, our only normal summon, we drew too many normal summons off of this, unfortunately. But we can still probably get there. Molar, fuse this. I'm just trying to see if we can get there. I think we can. Yeah, I think we can get there. We can normal summon Molar Effect using Lucius and Molar to go ahead and summon out probably Grand Garmel, because we don't want to add these cards back to hand necessarily. And then go Chain 1, Chain 2. To go ahead and fuse our spell cards here using Rahu, or setting Rahu and Q2 here, which is pretty good. Then we can go Q2 to add. We can just add ourselves a Femina to hand. And then go Rahu Effect using Femina and probably Urgula is probably fine. To go ahead and fusion summon into Atheron here. Go Atheron Effect to go ahead and add ourselves it's always Femina. Why am I thinking about this? We get Femina, and then we go Femina Chainlink 2, Urgula Chainlink 3, setting both the trap cards, which is good for us. So we get the trap cards off of this, which is pretty nice. Then we can still keep playing, so we drew Fallen. Go Effective Femina, using... probably that and that. Summons out that if we want to. I don't think that's really necessary, though. We can go Fallen and Quem, go into an Albion, which I think is probably fine enough, to be honest with you. Is that fine enough? I think it is. I think we're always using this Fallen. We can just go into a Mirror Jade if we really want to straight away. No, actually, probably not, because we want to send Albion to graveyard. I don't think we're getting the Albion to graveyard, though. I'm trying to get red set, but I don't think I can get red set with this hand, unfortunately. I guess we can, if we didn't draw Quem, we could. If we didn't have to normal summon either, we could. It's there's not another way to spell. Oh, actually, there might be. Oh, yes, there is. We can use both of these to go ahead and summon Secretron out, which is pretty good for us. Then go... Yeah, I think that works. And then go, no effect there. We can go Urgula, bottom decking itself, adding back the Femina to hand. Then going Secretron effect. There's no point of doing that, though. Oh, I mean, there's actually not, it's not that bad. We can summon Quem here, and then bottom decking... it's a spellcaster, right? So we bottom deck a dragon here. We want to keep Fallen in graveyard. Then go Quem effect, dumping Cartesia, which is fine enough for us. We couldn't get the red set, but I think there's no way. I think this is better for us because we get the Fallen engrave. Cartesia is by technicality like follow up and stuff like that. So I think this is probably fine enough with that. So we go end phase, draw, standby main. A little bit of a weirder play, but we still got there in the end, even though our hand was very, 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 very fucking weird, right? So it still gets us there because this dragon or spellcaster is pretty nice to 4 Quem because this can make any dragon, which is really cool. That's just nice to know. So we have Flame to negate a spell card. We can bottom deck. It doesn't really matter. Just a name to draw a card. We draw into a second Femina. Sure, why not? We have the Compulse, which is pretty nice as well. Bottom decking Flame and then drawing a card. Rahu, why not? That works. We have Quam effect to go ahead and special out Fallen whenever something leaves the extra deck. And then Fallen effect to go ahead, Fusion Summon. I guess we can just discard Rahu, sorry, to go into like a Mirror J play. Again, depending on the matchup, you know, maybe Fallen doesn't get the value. Really is just dependent on what you're versing against. Then we got Mirror Jade effect dumping Albion to the graveyard to go ahead and banish a card on the field as well. Then we still have Femina effect and then discarding Chain 2 Grammel to pop a card. We can use Atheron Femina to go ahead and special out Atheron once again. Then going Atheron Chainlink 1 to compulse a card. And then, yeah, we can use the second, because we had 2 Femina. Femina effect to set another card to the field. This just gets you the follow-up play as well. And we still have the Veiler in hand as well. So we had the 2 Trap, which is 2 interruptions. We had Fallen as an interruption, Mirror Jade as an interruption. Atheron is an interruption as well. And then we still have the Secretron on field. And we still have Veiler in hand as well. And that hand was very, very, very rough as well. Because we drew Quem and Fallen. But it still ended up working there as well. So that was it for that 5-card combo. Now let's get into our final 5-card combo. Alrighty, now on to our last 5-card combo hand here. So, in an attempt to try to show you off the Cartesia engine of the deck, I'm going to put Fusion Deployment in my hand just so I can show you the Cartesia portion of the deck. But we'll still shuffle up and draw 4 random cards here as well. Wow, it was not the greatest hand in the world, but it still works by technicality. We go Fusion Deployment, revealing Dragonmaid to go ahead and special out Cartesia from the deck here. Then we can go Cartesia effect. We have to fusion off the Veiler, unfortunately, because unfortunately there's no way we can fuse both spellcasters, which is unfortunate. But it still works. We can go into Dragonmaid. Very important why some of the non-engine, why it has to be like light or dark for Cartesia. Dragonmaid effect dump out Albion to the graveyard here. And then we can also summon Lucius. Lucius effect to go ahead and add. We can add Femina to hand. And then go Femina effect to fusion using... Oh, they're both spellcasters. Oh, that's very unfortunate. But then we can still play using this and this to go ahead and special out Atheron. We'll go Atheron Chainlink 1, Lucius Chainlink 2. We'll add back Femina to hand off of Atheron and then fusion off with... or set a spell trap. We can set Tail. Is Tail worth it? No, I think Rahu is probably worth it, right? Yeah, I think Rahu's the better one out of this right now. So we go Rahu. And then go Rahu effect using Femina and... where's Urgla? Where's Urgla at? Urgla, where the hell are you? There you are. Put Urgla into the graveyard to summon out the Grammel. Then go Chainlink 1, Urgla, Chainlink 2, Femina to go ahead and set our trap cards. I don't think we need to get Tail, so we'll just get Femina, or Horn and Flame here. And then we'll go ahead and do Urgla effect, bottom decking itself, and then adding Femina back to hand here. And then this is your end field, so you set the Brandon in red. Now, we had a way to Brandon in red, so that's not the worst thing in the world. End phase go Albion effect to go ahead and add or set. We can just get Fusion for next turn. And then go Cartesia effect, add itself to hand as well. And then draw standby main phase. If they ever activate a monster effect that special itself, which isn't uncommon in this format, so you can do this effect, or not set itself, banish itself to go ahead and special out the Dogmatica Quem. Quem effect to go ahead and dump Fallen of Albaz to the graveyard. And then whenever they leave an extra deck, Fallen of, or effect a special Fallen of Albaz. We can go Fallen, discard Brand Infusion, because our one Fallen is out of the deck now. To go ahead and Fusion Summon. Again, depending on the matchup, let's just say an extra deck monster for Mirror Jade effect, we can just dump. Doesn't necessarily matter. Like, everything else is gone from the deck now. We'll just send a second Albion to banish a card. Then we still have a spell negate, and then we can chain this to pop a card as well. We bottom deck this to draw one card. And draw into a Veiler, which is pretty nice. You still have red as well, which is really good. So you can add Fall into hand. And then we can banish Quem. Atheron is fine. And then if you want to keep Fallen in rotation, you can. But I don't really need it for this. To summon out Chimera. To pop 2, draw a card, which is insane. So we draw into Q2 Dragontail. Again, the brand in red we just hard drew. We had access to it through Albion to set it. Instead of adding Fusion, we could have set red. So that's not out of the realm of possibility with that, which is insane. Chimera to pop 2 cards. We still have this to compulse a card as well. So we can bottom deck this and then draw another card. We draw into Fusion Deployment. We go Femina effect, discarding this to go and Fusion Summon using Garmel. This to go into Atheron to compulse another card to hand, and we got the follow-up through the draws as well. So, you know, still very interesting. This is kind of the idea with Cartesia, is to help you. It's a poly, but it can, if you already have other stuff in hand, you can go and make it Interruption. With the Interruption was still pretty nice as well. So that is it for the video. I hope you guys did enjoy the video. If you did, leave a like and subscribe for more content on the channel, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.